Welcome to the World Series of Board Gaming. My name's Chris George.
And I'm Brian Miller.
And we are bringing you the ring final of Great Western Trail to see who is crowned the 2022 champion of the said game. And I'm excited, Brian. I like Great Western Trail.
I am too. This is a fun one. I'm used to the first edition of this game. It's a great game. I like the expansion quite a bit. This is a really good game.
Yeah, I'm more of a first edition person myself. I haven't yet tried the second edition, but there's some little changes that we'll talk about while we commentate. But why don't we just turn to the table and meet the players and get right into it?
That's all right. That's all right.
And immediately meeting everyone around the table, we have in seat 1.
Is to have a good time, so.
That's Jeff talking in seat 2, who was at the Wingspan final. Nick Henning, who is dealing out the cards right now in seat 1. Who's in the Dominant Species Marine final. Mark Globus in seat 3, and then shuffling his cards right now, Randy Bueller in seat 4. And they're just continuing the setup a little bit. They've laid down the starting tiles, they've randomized them, and then they will be randomizing the buildings right now, or very soon, to see what sides of each building are going to be played.
Do the fun flipping.
Hell yeah. Yeah, you're the flipper.
Flipadelphia.
Oh, and they're actually in order this time. Ready? 1A.
1A, got it.
Yeah, Chris, you put them all in order.
I'm going to follow along at home here as we go.
Yeah.
4A.
4A?
Once they catch up, it'll take time along. Okay.
4A.
A, B, B, A. ABBA.
ABBA. Nice. Dancing Queen.
Nice.
Got it.
There
we go.
This one's sponsored by ABBA. ABBA's latest
5A.
album. 5A.
6A.
6A.
7B.
7B.
8B.
8B.
9B.
9B.
Moneymaker. 10A.
10A.
On the side, you actually had it laid on the side. That is impressive.
Want me to re-roll it?
Reroll it. Reroll it.
11B.
11B.
And 12A.
12A.
So, to reiterate, we have 1A, 2B, 3B, 4A, 5A, 6A, 7B, 8B, 9B, 10A, 11B, 12A.
And so this brings in one of the first differences between the first edition and the second edition, which we'll talk about throughout the game as those points become relevant. A couple of relevant issues with this, actually. First being there is an 11th and 12th building, which, for those of you who just have the first edition base game, you don't get those 11 and 12 buildings. You only have 10 buildings in that base game. And then the Rails to the North expansion
Discard a card.
gave you those additional buildings and additional opportunities to expand. And then the second thing that is interesting, and there has been a fairly significant change in the building breakdown, 6A in the first edition has now been moved down, I believe, to the 5A spot, which we will be seeing as well. There's a little bit of a change there, and the 5A was moved up to the 6A building, so it just makes it a slight balance change to make something that wasn't often built as much cost less and maybe be a little bit more accessible. So 6A was 4 craftsmen to build, and now is 3 craftsmen and gives you 4 victory points.
Yeah, no, 6. That's really new. 7.
And then it's changed also. It used to be you can discard any 3 value yellow, and now you can discard any 3 value cow to get some money. Which is just a little slight change, but a fairly significant one that we might see people decide to play with it or not. And we wouldn't have had to even talk about that if it had flipped to 6B and 5B. But here we are with 6A and 5A. So if you happen to have Great Western Trail at home, and even the first edition, and want to see the buildings that they are playing with and outlay it in front of you, and see and survey your path to victory, that's a fairly noticeable change if you're playing with that first edition.
And the race, too, right? I think
Can I have a cowboy do this?
Yeah.
I'll take the latest cowboy.
Okay.
Do you care?
I thought they were actually coordinated. That's the yellow one.
Is this the yellow?
That's the blue one.
Is it really?
That's the white one.
Oh, I had no idea.
I mean,
I don't-
they're not
I know,
actually coordinated.
hasn't been coordinated for any of my other games.
And you'll see the most important change of this second
that's right, I
edition
get
is
more
that your
information before I
meeples
make
now
any
have
decisions.
little cowboy hats.
I've already got stage
Yes,
crap over
indeed.
here, so y'all
And that's
can
the
use that
important part for the color. But thankfully, our
I bet we can
top
slide
down view
this
is
with
going
a
to
fit
center
couch.
right on those
Are these
hats.
objections?
So we
Yeah.
don't have to be distracted by the
Yeah.
shade of
Objectives
wood
there.
for the meeple color.
Just
So.
Can I think that's perfectly fine that you've done that, but may I ask that you are patient enough to take a pause so we can check that the camera's still catching.
Yeah, go for it.
Sure.
And we see Brian being ever diligent, making sure.
Doing the same thing in Diamond Species Marine last night. Oh, he's not in the right place. Why did you adjust the camera? We're good, guys. Thank you for.
Can you see this?
I
There's
can
going to be
actually,
a lot of stuff.
yeah, you can actually come down closer to if. I don't know, Randy, are you comfortable coming down? You got enough space?
I'll cut this part out.
Are we ideal?
It's fine.
I can see all that. Everything's good.
So what was the, well, we're cutting things out. What was
Thank you, guys. I really
the,
appreciate it.
one of the tiles was discard a
Yes.
gain objective and gain
I
6
guess
points. That
that's-
was 5A.
A couple of New Yorks, building.
The change was just change a cow.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Okay.
It used to be
Zero
discard a level 3 yellow, but now it's just discard a level 3.
Okay.
last game was a mess. There was like a tower.
The camera has been checked. We're making sure that you can see all the action at home,
These are ones.
and the cows are starting to be dealt out. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Great Western Trail, why don't we give a brief breakdown of what the players are trying to do? Brian, do you want to start that off?
Yes.
the
So
old
there's
illusion of choice.
3 different things that you can. Well, there's a bunch of different things you can do actually. One is you can go about advancing your train and dropping off workers up at the top to claim various certificate tiles, which can score endgame points and do things for you during the course of the game. The other thing that you're trying to do is accumulate a better cow deck that has more scoring,
Sure did.
and that when you get to Kansas City to sell your cows, you'll be able to place your marker on a higher city
set
that
up?
allows you to sell your cows for a better value
I
and for
think it's
more
something
points as
about
the
this
game
that
goes on.
that
The
brings-
third thing that
brings
you
the
can
pain.
do is you can build buildings which will accumulate points for you as well too, as well as cause obstacles to
excited.
other
Let's
players
go.
and give
I'm
you
excited
access to better actions yourself. I think that's the best way to summarize the different strategies that you're going to try and do in this
That's
game.
actually the first move.
And,
Yeah.
Like everyone.
Yeah, good luck.
I think so.
This appears to be an action selection game, but it's closer to a Max Gert
Yeah,
style
you know,
one.
yeah,
You're
well,
going to be spinning around the board and keep spinning around the board, and there's plenty of things to do, but the trick to winning is not doing them all.
That's exactly it. I always find in Great Western Trail, my inclination
That's the,
is to want
the
to
start
stop
player
at every
marker,
building
isn't it?
and to
No,
see
that's-
the
that's for
sights
single player.
and take the actions and thinking, hey, I'm taking every single action here.
Oh,
Why am I not winning?
Somebody-
But it's the players who will
Don't listen to
pick
him,
and
he's
choose
hot.
what actions to take and move through the board effectively to get to the end and showcase their cows and get more money and kind of push the tempo of the game that will end up taking the cake, so
exactly.
to speak.
Well, I
I
gotta
need
figure out
one of
my
those
first
games
three
which is a go east to west vacation game, stop and see every single site, the largest ball of yarn and everything along the way.
Yeah.
That game I'll be good at.
We had a pretty lengthy discussion about there being a player tier list for these starting objectives at the last table.
So one of the interesting things about this game as well is you don't actually have to start at the start. You can start anywhere you want. And that selection here is going to be quite interesting at the beginning of the game. I do know that sometimes with more competitive players, that one of the things that they'll try and do often is build a building that is going
The
to
actual correct
slow the
answer.
board down and make it painful for the rest of the players by taxing them every time that they cross one of your buildings. So that's
So Randy, I think you get to go now.
a start that happens quite a bit in this game. So we'll see where Randy chooses to start.
First opportunity.
And you can see the outline of the map. Those indicate the little pathways. Those indicate the pathways that you can move upon. And sometimes, as the game progresses, the more buildings that are on the board, like you were saying, Brian, it slows things down. And you may want to go the other way towards those smaller tiles, the hazard tiles, which you'll have to pay the bank, but at least you're not paying other players and boosting them up. And depending on how many buildings are built, that might be a more efficient route versus plowing through all of your opponent's buildings.
Yes, and I do notice here that on this setup here, they got a very even distribution of train tiles, so, and there's a lot of them. So there's two train tile hazard terrains on each of the alternate routes. That may hinder people from choosing an alternate route. They may find that it's just easiest to go through the main center of the board and pay whatever tax you have to pay. The other thing too, as well, is there's not a lot of bandits on the board as well too. So being able to scoop up some bandits and collect some bounties is going to make the economy even tighter early on in this game. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and just looking at this initial board, a couple of things, again, that are different from the first edition to the second edition. The bandits themselves, they used to be teepees, but now they have been thankfully replaced by bandits. Usually in that first bandit spot you'll see in the Rocky Mountain area in the center of the board, that was going to cost -3 because bandits were required to complete some objectives, but those never really got picked. And so now there is a monetary incentive for always picking up a bandit. The bandits will always start at $1, and you will always get something if you take out a bandit, which is a nice change. And the other interesting change on the board, well, I'll talk about that in a second as we see where Randy goes in his first move.
Start this way. I take $2. There's my $2.
So he's going to try and get an extra worker right away. He's going to get his first pick of workers.
Yeah.
I put a builder on my board.
Looks like he took a cowboy. Did he take a cowboy?
No, he took a builder. So Randy going for the building strategy. The colors have
Right.
also changed for you in the first edition. Purple used to be the engineers, but now they are the builders. They are in the same orientation on the player boards as they were before, with cowboys at the top, builders in the middle, and then engineers on the bottom row.
I will go here. I'll discard a green for 2.
Nick discarding a green, going to building B. That's the starting building, and you see him building something right away.
Yeah, so this is the tax building that we're talking about. Every time players pass that building, they're going to end up paying 1 coin to Nick. And so that's one of those plays that you can expect quite a lot from competitive players. Right at the first of the turn, you're going to give some of your money to Nick. I think the rest of the players may try to play just pass that for the first round so they can escape the tax here in the first
$2
round.
tax.
Unless they want to double up on the tax as well. We'll see.
That's true, and just make it. But if someone were to double up on the taxes, you basically make it that everyone's just going to take those hazard routes right away because they're going to be paying the same amount currently, and so why not pay it to the bank? And this is an interesting board setup too, because these initial building tiles are placed down randomly. You aren't able to get the 1-2 punch of having 2 builders and then trying to build like a higher level building. You kind of have to choose to build your building first or to get additional builders first, as Randy and Nick have both opted for the different choice. Although often with your starting money, you're not going to have enough to do both anyway.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? I will choose not to perform the first action and not sell a green, and I will spend $2, which I've placed in there, and build the following building in the following location. That will complete my.
So I think that was 2B.
Looks like it.
Because we know that it has to be either 1 or 2 because those are the ones that cost the cheapest amount.
Yeah. So one of the nice things here about this play is he leaves him access to the alternate route, which is like 2 loaded up with bandits, and it gives him an outlet for discarding his gray cards out. And you have quite a bit of those in your deck, and they're pretty annoying. So being able to cycle through those, and he also has potential access to a bonus gray action, I believe, up on the side of that board as well too. So it's a little bit of unorthodox play in a lot of games, but in this game here, it looks like it could be a solid play.
It's like just move your train back and do something.
Yeah, and the players are just discussing another difference between first edition and second edition, which is worth noting. In the first edition, the tile Jeff just played down would have been you can discard a black to move your train up 1, and then discard a Sorry, discard a 1 cow to move your train up 1, and discard a 2 green to get $3. In this one, you're discarding your 2 to move your train up, and then you're discarding a 1 to get $2. So it's just a better version of that building all around.
So yours actually fits?
It fits on my ring or my pointer finger. My ring finger's a little too big, and then I guess I got a fat middle finger. I've been flipping the bird too much, too muscular. But it's
Talking about their hardware.
It actually fits decent. I've just been trying to intimidate folks.
I got that vibe.
Jeff playing the intimidation game, hoping that will yield him another ring. These coveted World Series rings for being a champion of a specific game are what the players are playing for. Valued at around $2,000, these Super Bowl rings are the coolest things I've ever seen, and makes me regret that I'm commentating instead of playing.
So we have an interesting opening here. So the opening here is we have 2 people who place buildings on the board, and the other 2 players have both picked builders to build more things.
Yeah.
And they've cut off the access for Nick and Jeff first pass around the board for them to be able to get extra builders. Depending upon how quickly they move, well, even if they do move into the station, it looks to me like they're only going to put train engineers on the board and cowboys, train engineers and cowboys.
That's true, yeah. You can see in the top left above that sort of a worker market, when someone gets to Kansas City. Is it still called Kansas City in the 2nd edition? Maybe. Probably. Let's say it is. And you can let us know in the comments if we're mistaken on that point. But when you get there, you'll choose one of the 2, each in the 1 column, 2 column, and 3 column to put into the market or onto the board. You'll see in that first column there's a hazard there, and what looks to be a bandit.
This one.
These are totally backwards.
What do you mean? It's the way I look at them.
1, 2, 3. There's spots for them.
Draw a card. Pass a card. I have 4 cards in my hand.
4 cards in your hand. Looks. I didn't see you cheat. So
So that's all I have to do is say, I can't deal with this. Everybody at the time somebody else picks blue.
When the game says you're supposed to be blue.
So one of the things you want to do
Spots for
thing here
Well, now that I've
is
built
you
this
want to
crappy
get
little
different
network,
colored
I
cows.
owe you 1
Because
tax,
you're only allowed to
okay,
count 1 cow of each color when you
Putting it
come
on
into the
This
market
is probably the best.
for
The person doesn't have to be
shipping your
there.
cows
Three.
north/east. So you're only going to be able to get
All right, I have 3
1
actions.
cow of each color. So having a variety of cows is
I will
good,
start with
and
the
picking
optional action.
the better cow that's worth more
Discard
points
1,
may be something that you want to do when you
lower
first buy your
my
cows
thing
early on here.
And receive $2. I'm gonna put this in the discard pile. The $2 will go into my bank. I'm gonna put this on the ground. I've completed that action. Second action is gonna be to discard a Santa Gertrudis. I believe it's Gluteus Maximus is
Right.
actually what that means. And that will move my train forward 2. That completes that action. This will go to the discard pile. And then the third action will be to discard another Criollo, or the colloquial not Jersey,
Not Jersey.
and 2 there. This will go to the discard pile. These 2 will go to my bank. I'll complete my action. My
That's a
hand
nice
size
building.
is 4.
That is a really nice building compared to what it was before. And you can
I get
see
the
Jeff getting a lot of benefit from
Right.
that, especially placing it
It's
out
fun we're having,
in
right?
that area. Jeff having a great time already.
Thank you.
Go here. Discard a black for $2.
What is we see Mark going for
Spend.
a cow purchase as well, getting some of those coveted better cows into your deck so that you can sell more and more and move further up along the track, because the more you deliver, the further closer to New York that you deliver, which was San Francisco in the first edition,
Card.
the more points that you're going to get at the end of the game.
Alright, we'll go in.
And we see Randy making our first stop at the end of the board,
So you
choosing.
have he'll lay down his cows here, but he does have an early option of not going very far and taking more coins at a loss of points here. And I think in the second edition, is the loss of points a little bit more drastic? I think that may be one of the changes. That was one of the changes for the Rails to the North, so they may have adapted that one to this one. Here. And that's the option he seems to be taking. Is he's not going to advance down the rail line very far, but he's going to take the extra capital.
Yeah.
I like that system. It's a great system for fixing stuff and double checking stuff. It's really smart.
Randy just commenting, praising the judging and the usage of just checking everyone's work, because that's important to do in these sorts of games where the stakes are very high. They're playing for that coveted ring, the title, and moving on into a spot in the semifinals to compete for that $25,000 prize. So it's important to make sure, especially in a game with these little coins, that you just, you make sure everything's correct. It's easy to miss throwing in an extra dollar, and you just want to make sure that everything's on the up and up, and we're all playing by the set out rules. Nick blazes ahead as well, choosing not to stop in those other two buildings and get some money as well and start the loop all over again.
I think one of the things he was looking to do there to getting in early is to make sure that hazard tile gets down on that one blocking route to force people up through his building. Whereas if someone had popped through there first, they may have taken that hazard tile and placed it. Well, I guess he was still.
I guess it always still would have been there because it would have been replaced. But that's a great point. That was always the hazard tile that Nick was going to choose because it does exactly like you're saying, Brian. Forces people through his building and gives him that potential extra income right off the bat.
Yeah, maybe he just wanted to catch Randy for sure, not let Randy get an option to think about it.
Or he just might have had a perfect hand of cows.
This is true too.
Draw 4 cards.
He wanted to maximize his money.
Yeah.
And I think we'll see all of the other people. We might see Jeff head and purchase a cow, or we might see him head right to the finish. What I do love in a 4-player game, in a 3 and a 2-player game, you can only move 3 spots. In a 4-player game, you can move 4 spots, and that's going to be important when the buildings start clogging up those routes.
Buy a blue cow while it gets good. So the first half of the action, I will sell a pine wood. Take 2. This will go to the discard pile. This will go to my money pile. Love the money pile. Hey, I'd like to have my own autonomy here. I'll choose a blue cow.
Oh, if you want, I mean, let you reach across the board if you want that much
Well, no,
autonomy.
I'm just saying I could have had a red cow.
You could have.
You know?
You said I'm gonna buy a blue cow.
Yes,
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
That's what I thought you were asking. Is like, my autonomy means I got to reach
I thought I
across
said
the
I'm
table.
going to buy a cow, and then he just assumed it was a blue, but I said blue. It's just my innate brain. Sorry.
Jeff giving away his entire strategy
Razz you a little bit, but razz
right
myself.
away.
That's right.
Self-razz.
The counter Raz.
Next time I'm going to let you reach. You're good.
Oh, sorry, I need to show one to get support.
Now you're good. All
Now
right,
I'm
fair
good.
enough. All right, I'm going here.
I always enjoy watching Jeff play because he likes to chat around the table and just have a good time. Like he said at the beginning, he's like, hey, it doesn't matter what happens as long as we have a good time, and I just love that attitude.
And I draw 2 cards.
Now, just to go back to Jeff's placement, what's also interesting as a change from the first to the second edition, you'll see the fork in the road.
Bold word. Yeah.
You'll see the fork in the road where the players were purchasing those builders, and when you head down, you can either head down or you can head across. Down sort of heads you towards the bandits. In the previous edition, that building that's immediately down was shifted 1 space over, that sort of starting building. And so it works twofold. It makes sure that no other player can get that coveted sort of fork in the road spot. And it also adds to that initial movement down there. I think the more important thing is that no player can place something there and maybe place a tax tile and just really block you off from looping around.
Yeah.
But I think that is another significant change that is nice and has made the game better, and is honestly something that I'll probably start implementing in just the first edition, the shifting of that initial placement.
I think I'm just going to straight up go out and get the second edition now.
I mean,
It's
I
nice.
can feel the pull. I like this game enough that I would be fine with an upgraded copy.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about the yellow cows yet, because I don't think, are they on the board, the Simmental cows?
Yeah, I think they're more orange because yellow still stays. I don't know if they are on the board, and I don't know.
Thought about getting a haircut before Vegas.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they are on the board.
Those are cows that upgrade as you bring them to market. You go from calf to
Keeps you
heifer
warmer.
to cow.
It does keep me warmer. Yeah, it's
Yeah, which is another
Which isn't
really
good. I'm
interesting
outside, so,
change,
you know, it's kinda
but
like-
not one that we have to deal with right now because they haven't been drawn.
Well, I don't mean to be dramatic, but it is absolutely free.
And we see already the two different approaches that people are taking.
But like,
Randy and Nick having soared ahead and
By
have
now,
already
you know,
delivered,
it's no one's fault this round.
no, I
and then Mark and Jeff taking a
Probably
little
all
bit
this
more
ice.
time.
Probably. Bring it down.
and I thought I'd get more than that from that. So
You gotta check out. My girlfriend does the same thing. She didn't laugh. I was like, chuckle. What do you want from me?
Definitely going here. Discarding it for $2.
We see Randy starting to use his two builders to build something. We'll see which building he opts for.
It's just
So you may be looking at building 4A here,
level for $2.
but no, it looks like it's just going to build a level 1.
One builder.
But he also is going to get in on the tax game.
Again, taxing that initial
So that is
area
turn.
and putting it close to the forest, too.
Pass this to-
So if he needs it for the income, he can take it.
Well, that wasn't what I expected. I think we go 1, 2, 3. Because I was trying to count if I needed to go in the swamp to do taxes. I will discard a green.
It's a
2.
swamp.
Oh, this is
Yeah,
the
this is a
swamp.
swamp. Yeah, doesn't this look like a swamp?
And then I'll spend 2. 2. Do something annoying, probably.
And it's something annoying. That's the beginning of this game, right?
I like it user friendly.
Sure.
And I almost wondered if that placement, the tax placement by Randy, would have impacted Nick's ability to purchase what he wanted to purchase, but he still only has the one builder, so his options are limited.
So he may be looking here to upgrade to make his tile even more painful here and to speed up his game. I think tile 4A here is a distinct consideration, but he may also be looking at if he needs to cycle his gray card cattle as well.
Cute. Very cute game.
Yeah, so you can have the builders to purchase tiles outright for like you were referencing, Brian, costing 2 builders to use, and so $2 per builder, so it would cost $4. But you need to have the requisite number of builders to purchase it, or you can upgrade using an existing building and then making the difference. But we don't see the upgrade. We see him likely going for that 4B, that 2B then.
Wow, this is a bold play. So he's committing here. If he makes this play here, which it looks like he's playing to, going down the swamp route, having an option to go down the swamp route to avoid Randy's tax if he wants, to get the extra benefit, and so he's going to get a bunch of extra benefits for discarding tiles.
It's really easy for us to prove, right? How much did I have at the beginning of the round?
That is.
14 to start.
Spent 1 here.
Let's see if that pays
$30,
off. He's going to end up going through the swamp a lot here when he needs to.
I mean, I trusted him.
But I guess he gets to dump out all his gray cattle if that's the situation he finds himself in on his opening hand. He can purge very quickly here at a cost of some coins.
All right, let's.
Yeah,
take
and
the
it's
long journey
it is so interesting to me that he's placed it behind himself. So he's basically resigned to not
so
using
first
that
I
ability
will choose to place
until his next pass through
rock climbing
the
wall.
Great Western Trail.
Cowboy, because I have no choice. This one is going to cost 5. Step 4.
That's a really interesting play. I mean, we've got to then see Nick likely purchase a hazard off the board and start getting those swamp tiles out of the way.
It could be a play. That could be an interesting play.
But also, he may not be strapped for cash
So I'll be paying,
because
or I'll be receiving
everyone will be going through his
gold or whatever they're
place. He'll be getting $6 back from the players having to move through his route right now with his key tile hazard placement.
So I do think, here, one of the things that maybe we weren't factoring in here,
So 4, so 1,
no, he doesn't.
3.
I can't actually see his card, but he doesn't have the hazard card for his bonus, does he? I believe Mark has the one that
Got all
wants
these
to pull a
choices, right?
hazard.
Oh, I got a
So,
choice. I love choices.
I think, yeah, I'm not too sure about that either. That's a good question. I
can
knew
see
he
Mark
drew something
the,
at the beginning.
Sure. This.
Now it looks like he has the
This. Next. This gives me $5.
maybe
Now, part I haven't figured out.
Mark has the hazard tile,
I think a few of them require a hazard.
and Jeff wants cows and a building.
$5.
What I think this is also a really nice play of Nick. I'm just going back to Nick's first play. He likely read the board correctly. I think the yellow hazard, the mountain hazard, the desert hazard. I think that's what they're called. It was up in that initial draw, was it not, Brian? If you remember, I don't quite remember, but since it was up in that initial draw, he knew that it was being placed down there, and so he knew that tax building was a pretty solid first play because of looking ahead to what was going to come onto the board.
All players starting to opting to start with the
So,
get the money, get your money going, so you can give it away to some of the people who are going to tax you pretty heavily at the start of the board here. But you're going to need it to get whatever engine you're going. You're going to need that money.
That's exactly it, and
then
a very interesting board state already developing with those two taxations on the board. We'll see if other players try to respond and negate that.
Goodness, you didn't pass me the
A
chair.
bad pull for Nick as a new swamp hazard comes up. We know what Randy will be putting down when he gets to the end.
I get 1, 4 cards.
Randy paying the tax back and going to purchase more builders. Randy kind of going all in on this builder strategy, getting those buildings on the board and giving himself these extra actions in the process, deciding if he's going to purchase.
I believe.
Oh no, he opts for the engineer. And will he have enough money to purchase another player? That's the question.
The next one. Oh, and this card would be great for that insert. The 8 for this one.
Oh,
He's going for those 2 engineers.
$2 back.
When you place them, you have bonuses you can get right away when you place those.
Yeah, wanting to cycle cards in his hand and get bonuses for them. Because you have to move up on that track. You do have to balance all the elements in some capacity, but yet also not do all of them too much. Figure out what that balance is. But moving up the train track is going to be very important, so you're not paying those extra penalties for being behind when you have a big yield of cows in your hand.
Plus, I also do like, I'm not great at this game, but I do like having those extra engineers when I play the game, because if you're going to get into one of those stations and drop off one of your workers who's doing a lot for you at the train station to get the certificate, which are also awesome, being able to drop off an engineer, because when each time you place an engineer, you get a benefit, so it feels less bad dropping off an engineer as opposed to dropping off a builder or a cowboy.
100%. You'll want to capitalize on rebuying instead of not getting anything. And if you have to rebuy something, you might as well be getting a bonus for it. We see Nick moving to purchase workers. This will be his first worker purchase.
$50.
Does he have enough to purchase two?
I'll spend 8. That's fine.
And purchases a cowboy and a builder.
Go to draw.
Our first cowboy that we've seen on the scene. Nick only having $2 left. Even with 2 cowboys, that's not going to make it enough to purchase that cow unless he takes a double action to do so, and I doubt he'll waste the time. But he's just setting himself up likely for his 3rd round around the table.
One, two.
Jeff opting to pay Randy instead of pay $4. And going for his second building,
Second action.
which will be his tax building for sure.
Going to cost 2.
Getting in the taxation game and probably trying to put it ahead
Of Randy.
of both Randy and Nick in that top forest up there. That's exactly where it goes. Touching a forest so that if he needs to sit on it, he can get that additional income bonus. He is debating and moves to the second one.
Okay, let's call it there. And then
That's an interesting last-minute switch there, Brian. I would have opted for where Jeff ended his placement in that spot, just because it's closer to the final drop-off point down the line, and also a bit separated from his previous building.
Oh, now I'm gonna build.
Interesting.
But do you think it makes any difference?
I think it could make a difference there, because I think there's one of the tiles, I believe, that he could upgrade into later in the game that lets him move two tiles and then take the action where he lands. And so, but that tile, that may be the difference that makes that a good play, in that he may be looking to place that tile down later. I'm not really sure.
Well, especially if you're going to chain your 2 buildings together, as we see his 3 spaces away, it's just better for him to have his be 3 spaces away, so that if he's going to do a double play and really just invest in that placement and upgrade just those 2 buildings, he has that option now.
Yeah. That's possibly what he's thinking there.
The other way would be, as you're saying, if he was planning to upgrade his bottom building into the move 2, then he might have placed it in the space closer to it so that he could, again, chain both of his buildings together. Because obviously, as you go along through the game and get better and better buildings, they become way more powerful than these initial starting actions.
Things that happens.
I guess it's a few rounds before we'll find out what his exact strategy is.
Sure. Spend $4
21. Yep.
for our level 2 building.
Something interesting about Great Western Trail, especially with the second edition being fairly new, and the subtle changes but important changes throughout, is that it was one of our vetoes in the final round. Somebody said, "I'm not confident enough with Great Western Trail to want to play it in the finals," because specifically they had only played first edition and were worried about the differences of the second edition and how those little changes have long-lasting ramifications.
Indeed, we're definitely getting a full clog of tax buildings all the way along the chain here.
And it's interesting, Mark had the opportunity to build a building and he chose not to. I think he chose to get his number 3 out.
Okay, good.
Or
The way I
4A
count
maybe.
Is,
Yeah, I believe that's 4A, which is oh no, we're not playing with 4A. Yeah, we are. 4A, which is remove a hazard for $5 and then move your player 2.
oh, well, all right.
Yeah, that's the tile I was thinking that might come out a little bit later for Jeff, but it's a very strong tax tile because it has the green hands and the black hands. The green hands in the 4-player game are taxing for 1, and in the 4-player game the black hands are taxing for 2. So that makes that route that Nick is clogging up is gonna be worth considering going down the hazard lane on that path very quickly here, because you're paying 3 to go down that road if you're not Nick or Mark. Is it Mark?
Yeah. And a great play by Mark. You have to get in on this taxing game to earn some of that money back. And being able, having bought that second builder, he was able to purchase that outright. Certainly, the black hand feels a lot nicer than the green hand.
Yeah, that's right. I will go to the cattle markets.
Randy deciding to invest in his cows.
Black cow for $2.
Exactly.
Out on the trail.
I will spend $6. Last of the endangered cows.
And you see the players scooping up those blue cows immediately because the blue cows are worth 3 points at the end of the game, the red cows worth 2 points at the end of the game, and the yellow cows worth 1 point at the end of the game.
It's not technically what it says on the thing, but it seems correct.
So you'll want to diversify your cattle holding, because if you just had a hand of blue cows, that's not going to do you any good.
Yeah, I've got $2.
Oh, you're keeping it there.
But when you're choosing that first initial cow, you're obviously going to opt for the one that costs or gives you the most endgame points, which the players have now scooped up. And I think it is only Nick who was unable to get a blue cow, if I'm remembering correctly.
Tiny woods for $2. I'll spend $3. Next one, please.
And you see him getting the red cow, being one behind in points, but up on the economy since he has that additional cowboy. The cows now cost him less.
Yep. Getting the raw into the deal.
And I believe he got a blue cow the first time around.
Did Nick get a blue cow? I thought Jeff got. I knew Jeff got a blue cow, and I thought Mark was talking about getting a blue cow.
You know, but when you say it,
I think Nick picked up the blue cow the first time.
really
I need that gold. I really need that gold. All right.
Could be
so
wrong about that.
We're not.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure he did.
There's no way I'm gonna get 12 anyway, or 14 anyways. I do not use it. So I'll spend 6. Here's 10 more back. Sorry. 7.
We see Jeff getting an engineer
Here,
being able to discard those
discard a
garbage level 1 cows that you don't want to see in your hand and you want to just use to throw them to the side of the road and
draw back up.
harvest them for whatever you can.
Why do you have a tax dollar?
Huh? Oh.
We see Mark separating his money into piles, seeing what he can afford, what he wants to spend it on. He knows he has to pay at least 1 in tax. That's why you see that little 1 off to the side there.
Oh, that's fine.
And then will we see Mark purchase a hazard here using his ability, or will we see him simply move on? Because this is the one that moves you to, and he could do a double action, but I don't know if he wants to spend those $5 right now on that hazard. Hazards are just to clear the path and for end game objective points, and sure, he needs a hazard eventually, but I think the main reason he put that tile down there was for the extra taxation. I don't see him using that ability right now. If he did, though, he would obviously take from the top right mountain range, since no one has built there yet. But then it opens the door for someone quicker than him to start building their next building there. And we do see him go for the hazard.
Wow. So he wants to get that objective in early and maybe clear out that path to go up the top eventually.
I suppose you clear out a way to avoid Jeff's 1 tax.
$6.
And Mark going for a cowboy as well.
And $1.
Doesn't look like he's going to have a lot of money to get a cow though when he gets there.
That just means
So
we're playing.
he's probably going to foregoing that. That's an interesting play. We'll see how it pans out
Not
for
that
him.
good.
This is it's pretty clear.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would have purchased a hazard at this moment in time.
I wouldn't go.
It just seems like hazards are for the end game.
You just
You know, Mark doesn't have any board position there. He's just purchased a building in another
Fine, I don't
spot.
know what I'm doing.
I have won 2 games of this in my life.
That can't be true.
It's true.
Today?
It's actually true.
Actually
You've
true.
never won a playtest game with us.
All right.
Two games. The 2
It's a
games
tall
today
playtest
to
game.
get to this point here.
Our crowd's pretty good. Yeah,
I think our best person in the crowd isn't here.
our best 2 people didn't come. Alex didn't
Oh,
come.
right,
Alex
right,
and
yeah,
Mike
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
come.
yeah. It's true, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the 3rd best person in the crowd.
Mark and Randy talking about their playtest group, and maybe they were playtesters for this second edition,
Better.
I know
but
Ricky
saying
dropped
Mark has
out,
never won a game
but
until
I
today.
would not be surprised if Ricky's better.
That's fair.
Hey, the good news is you're guaranteed to be in the top 4 of the grouping.
I know,
Here.
I know. And you know what? I have beat everybody in that of the people who I think are better than me. I just haven't beat them all at once.
Well, not all at the same time. I can't believe you won 2 games. That's a really hilarious stat. That makes me want it to be 3. It's just too cool. We
That
almost
makes
got
me
shadowed.
want it to be 3 as well. I am rooting for
Oh, yeah.
Mark after that statistic. Let's go, Mark. I don't care about being an unbiased commentary. I'm doubling down.
You barely lost the second game. You made a smart
Mark
error
doesn't
that
win.
just
We all
doesn't
riot.
experience it. Am I doing that? I'm probably doing that, right?
Stopping on mine to take 1 single auxiliary action. Great choice.
Not in
He's gonna do it here.
Oh, he's I apologize. Yeah, you're right. I was being short-sighted.
I don't. That just doesn't.
Players
seem
pointing out that if you stop on someone else's building, you can take 1 single action on your player mat.
Yeah, I won.
Okay.
He tries to.
I tried to. Here's a pair. Like $4.
Wow, and Randy opting to go the long way around, it seems. Rather than pay Jeff a single dollar, he decides to pay the bank $3.
Draw 2.
due to that play by Mark removing the mountain tile, I still would have paid Jeff $1.
Yeah, I think at $2 I would avoid paying somebody, but at
Yeah.
$1 I think you're hurting yourself.
$3, that's just
Up to 6.
Yeah.
money is so
$3
valuable in this
$1.
game. You'll also see beside some of the player boards, beside Jeff's money up top and down beside Randy's board.
Or are we down to 50%? We're no longer excited about this.
Well, I'm excited about it. I'm
Make
trying
some
to
change.
decide if I want
5.
to use an exchanger or not.
Oh, and Jeff, actually talking about what I was just going to bring up, there's this little exchange token, which is new to this second edition as well, or was introduced in the Rails to the North. Is that right, Brian?
That is correct. It is in the Rails North, and I love that piece.
And we see Jeff using it right now. What
So the
timing?
nice thing about this thing is you get to draw 2 extra cows into your hand and then discard 2 cows, as opposed to discarding 2 cows first, like other game mechanics we do, in order to get 2 cows. You get to
One.
really see what your hand is, and you can do it before you decide where to go.
I'm
So-
going to choose to start with the optional bonus action, discarding a not jersey and receiving 1 move here and 2 gold from the bank.
So Jeff really has a
This will move
certificate
to my discard
pack
pile.
way up.
These 2 will move to my
Yeah.
coffers.
We're going to see a
And
big
then
payday
second
for
part of
Jeff.
that action, I'll take the primary action, discarding a green to move my train forward 2, getting to 4. This will go to the discard pile. Tragically, even after looting, I did not get another drag, so I will be not receiving the full trifecta of actions.
So there's a term called looting, and
After
that's a term that Randy Bueller is probably really familiar with because it comes from Magic the Gathering.
Thanks for watching.
And some of you may already know that Randy Bueller was a Pro Tour champion at Magic the Gathering and is in the Magic the Gathering Hall of Fame. But looting basically means the same thing that we talk about, which sometimes is also referred in Magic the Gathering as cycling, which is drawing extra cards and then discarding them.
Randy gleefully putting out that water hazard to direct people towards his taxation area.
$7.
Yes.
Randy getting $7, which is a good haul and would allow him to place a tile at the sort of 6th level, which is where the points really begin. That's the bar that you want at the very minimum, having 6 or more cow dollars.
Is he thinking about opening up his certificate?
And so I get $7.
But he chooses not to place early on. He chooses not to spend that additional income.
For your records.
Instead, holding on to it because he's got big plans for it, moving through the initial stages of the board.
I did my whole thing here, moved the train a little bit, moved my certificate, sold a thing, used my exchanger token, so I'm down that.
I had to do that too because Randy was like, "I'm going to be engineers." Whatever, Randy.
You didn't have to buy that builder?
But I did after you bought the engineers.
Oh, that was after. Right. Mark about the builder. Look at this.
Look
Nick
at
saying he
this.
wanted to get in on that engineer game, but has been
Okay.
forced to
Do I
pivot.
want $4?
Nick saying, "Do I want $4 at the expense of an action?"
$4 here. You've really broken the system.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I guess you
$4
could. You could take
action.
that and yeah, okay, you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. There's multiple ways to get $4. How does he want his $4? That's the question.
Well, yeah.
The problem here that he may be looking at is he may know that his deck here has got a lot of gray cows, and does he want to get to those gray cows right now? Because whatever's at the top of your deck, you're getting that at some point.
Yeah.
Whether you're getting it now going into the KC station or you're getting it later to start your next opening hand, you're going to catch those gray cows.
7.
7.
So if he may be contemplating that trading in a pair for what he's going to get going into Kansas City, whether it's worth the $4 or just stick with what he's got in his hand and just go into Kansas City that way. And also saving himself one turn of
I don't know, so I won't.
he's going in.
He's going in. He's decided not to. It's not worth
6 for me.
wasting an action.
Sure.
$6 for Nick. And he's choosing, does he spend it to push his disc a little further up, or does he keep it further back so he doesn't have to pay the toll for not having moved his train far enough along the ranks? Only Jeff having moved his train up right now. Everyone else just sitting, waiting for the go signal from the station masters. But it might be Jeff who scoops up all the station masters.
Yeah, we'll make it on a 6, so I'll have 12.
So I do think he actually is figuring to go through the swamp this round. So I think he's contemplating, what do I need to get through that swamp? I'm probably going to draw into some gray cows here. I'm going to take advantage of that building I put out, maximize those gray cows I'm drawing into.
Yeah.
Is 12, Nick?
So I really do like the fact that I in other games I'm try to pay a good attention to what's still in my deck and to not have it be a surprise factor to myself. But I think that these players that are playing at this competitive level are really taking that to an even higher level, that they're really certain about what's left in their deck.
For
And
sure.
There's not
Stuff.
a big mystery to what they're going to do next.
Not bad.
Fulton and Fall. That's alliterative.
Yeah, being able to
All right,
predict
I
or
will
at least know the
move
probability of what you're going to draw, and then when you get down to those
myself.
last cards, knowing what is on the bottom of your deck.
Discarding a pair of Criollos. That's going to receive 5, rebate of 1, so that's going to go in my coffers, back to the bank.
Funny rebate where you pay the bank.
Yeah. Listen here. After that, I will take 3 seconds to decide if I'd like to buy a hazard. I will decline to buy a hazard. I will refill my hand.
That makes sense. No benefit for Jeff to buy a hazard right now.
Yeah, and it is your turn.
Go here. I pay you all of my money.
We see Mark having no money in his stack, which means he can move through Jeff's taxation without paying him money. And that's a good way to avoid paying the taxes if you don't have anything to pay. Although, please do not take this as financial advice. I am not an accountant. It may work for Great Western Trail, but you're on your own in the real world.
I will take $2.
We see Randy making his move to purchase another building, get his second building on the board.
2 levels. Which is this guy.
And getting his second taxation on the board. Where does it go? That's the question. If he puts it up by Jeff's taxation, everyone's just going to go through the mountain range right now.
Yeah.
Although there is another mountain hazard tile that could be put out on the board.
I do think he's going to have to consider somewhere closer to the Bandit Pass.
And again, this is where you would put that taxation route on that crossroads. But now with the change in the second edition and moving that over, it's no longer an option. It's tough placing a building up there because there are so many routes to avoid it. That's why you see people. He might just double down. he diversifies and places it on this horrible route for everyone now. Everyone going to be taking that mountain, the desert pass, instead of going through and having to pay $5 if you're Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff has it. Jeff has it now a desert path for the rest of the game, and it's going to be a slower path for him too, because that's he really Jeff really needs to remove one of them hazards from the
I feel
table.
like being second seat just drafting you seems bad. Sorry. But it is what it is. How smart is it to wait? Not smart because of certificates. $2. 4 in, 5 in, 1 out. Let's build one of these.
And we'll see now Nick getting his third building on the board. Each building being worth points. Will he upgrade or will he put something else out? Will we see another taxation happen somewhere out there?
So he paid 4, so I think we probably are looking at another taxation.
And there we go, doubles down in that swamp area.
So I think what's
taxes.
really interesting about this play here is he's
taxes.
almost telling Mark here, hey, pull off one more of those swamp hazards and you can avoid my tax. And we'll all avoid that tax there, and we'll just put Randy in a very bad position.
That's exactly it. He wants everyone else to do the work for him.
Red, white, blue, though. That's kind of nice. You know, taxing the yellow. That's kind of rude. But I'm gonna choose to stop at this space.
Jeff stopping, not willing to brave the tax run yet.
I will choose to.
But yeah, I think that's a great play by Nick. It encourages people.
Bandit option. So bandit, as well as 3 gold. So I'm gonna give the bank back 2 and change. 2 to the bank. Bandit and 5 go to me. Second part of the action is an auxiliary. I will choose to pay 1 gold to move my train forward 1.
Yeah.
Triggering the train station visit. 2 additional gold will allow me to take a disc off and go in here. I'll choose to take the row 4 disc off. The money has all been paid. I now exercise the option to remove the Station Master bonus tile by taking off my engineer. Station Master bonus tile is in my possession. I did not alter the contents of my hand, so I will not draw any cards.
So this is often a play that I make in this game that I both love and hate at the same time. So he gets that certificate, he gets there first, but then he ends up in a position where when he looks at his board, he has no workers at all left on his board.
Yeah.
I find myself in that spot all the time and saying, I am just not as good as other players at this game. But he may have a much better plan than I do that will carry him through this game. But it is a bold play for sure.
I mean, I think that first Station Master tile that he took, it gives him a permanent 1 extra bonus on his ribbons, which basically gets him $1 extra every time he goes through and bumps up the value of his hand.
I'd like to be the best.
Probably.
You know? Yeah.
You don't want that to be the answer, but it is deep down.
Right?
Jeff saying that he wants to be the best and beat the best. And be the very best like no one ever was.
One of those showed up in row 3. Really screwed the pooch on that one.
And then my hand is.
So this
See the
is
bandits
4, 5,
getting
6,
thrown in there, making it a little bit harder for Jeff to maneuver. It's going to be tough for Jeff to move around the board at this point.
one of the things too here that I noticed in the game here is that always on level 1 you always have an obstacle tile for the level 1 tiles that come out when you get to Kansas City. Level 2 is always a worker, and level 3 sometimes is a worker and sometimes an obstacle tile. And here Mark chose to pick out an obstacle tile, and what that in effect does is it makes the game just a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So Mark's making a concerted effort to make the game just a little bit longer.
And that's usually what I try to do in this game. Is I know I need more and more turns.
You did that
and
yourself.
anytime I can extend the game, I will do my best to do so.
have gone
No,
around.
I
and play
was
this.
pausing because I don't need to go this way this time.
I'm just teasing you,
I might actually pay 4 to the bank. This might be a spot. I think this is a spot where I pay 4 to the bank, right? 6 is all I need. 6 is all I have.
Randy calculating, deciding to pay to the bank.
Wind up there. This much money, which is what I need, right? 5 and 3.
So it's one less coin from him, but also a lot less income to Mark, who gets 2 less coins off that, and Nick gets 1 less coin.
For this guy.
And
Yeah.
Jeff's pretty much going to be paying heavy taxes anyway, so he doesn't need to stay ahead of him on money.
$3 for this guy.
I think that's exactly the right play. If it's a difference between 3 and 4,
Jesus.
go for the 4 and don't boost up your opponents.
Yep. 2 crackers.
Oh, thank you.
This money's all in the bank.
God,
Nick
How does this
choosing the same path.
Yep.
It's just $2.
And Nick does have 7.
We're
He
gonna buy
could
something.
purchase an
Cost
engineer.
5.
He chooses not to. He's going to go for that 5 route,
What
Which-
the rest of this game to look like?
will decide the course of his game, as he's saying.
$5 for a builder.
He's going the building route over the cowboy.
Fill hand. Finish with all my legal moves.
No. The illusion of choice.
Jeff getting that mountain tile out, making his taxation area a little bit more valuable.
Wait. How is this? So
That's correct.
That's correct.
No,
They
you
started
don't.
this end.
oh, they started that end. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My bad. I knew that. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
It's okay. It's only 7:30. Oh crap! It feels much later than that.
Like I said, I was up real late last night. So were you, right? What time did you guys finish? No, you
Yeah.
guys finished like a couple hours before.
It was like
11.
midnight. It was
I like
11:30. But I have the extra excuse of I'm on East Coast time, so
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Both Nick and
Permanently
Jeff
8,
having played in
9,
the
10.
finals of Dominant Species and Wingspan, respectively, the night before
You
this
guys are doing all the
game.
cool building stuff, so I got to do something, right? To at least prove I
And
deserve to be at
these
game.
players,
So
this is a
10 the
marathon of
value
an
on
event.
shit.
It's a fun event. You get to play a lot of
Right
games,
now,
but you're going to be playing it for a long
Chicago.
time if you make your way to the finals.
My nose is past this, right?
Yep.
So,
I do think there's probably
3
some
and
strategy there in picking at least
so that would be
one
7.
shorter
I'm
game
deciding
in
whether I want
in
to
your
make it
route.
10 or
I do
2.
know there's a player that played in the World Series of Board Gaming
You know, the issue
that
with
is a great Western Trail player, a
5.
really strong Great Western Trail player, and he chose not to play Great Western Trail, and he chose to play, I believe he chose to play Raw instead, if I remember correctly. And maybe the reason he was doing that is saying, I'm also a very good Raw player, and I can save on some fatigue and be more prepared for the next day of gaming if I don't push myself through a heavy Great Western Trail match here. So we'll see if that strategy pays off or not for him.
Sorry.
Well, did he win?
Pretty important decision.
I think he was very close.
Very close.
I think it's actually a game that we did was, I think he ended up making it to the Terraforming Mars finals because it's Anthony Sicenti is a very good Great Western
Nice.
Trail player.
Yeah, I think he made 2 final tables. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he was in the. I'm pretty sure he was in the Raw final table.
He's in
very
the
good
Raw
at that
final
game.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually played against him in Raw. And I'm a pretty good Raw player. That's if I was playing this, Raw would be my game
I
for
just thought it
sure.
was a weird conversation.
But
What's going on?
he is also a very good Raw player.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I'm going to take this guy down. Go to Chicago. Sorry.
Well, he might win
That's not
that Raw match. Who knows? I guess I'll have to tune in and find out. But here we have Jeff laying it down in the 10 spot. He's paying
And
a
I
couple
will
coins
draw
extra, but
back
by putting it
4
up
cards
further,
and
he's
blast
now
my deck.
getting some traction
Oh, wait.
in terms of his
There you go.
placements, in terms of getting
That was
points
it.
down
That
the
was my,
line.
That was the moment.
rush to Chicago. That was my whole thing.
$1.
Look at this payment. This is just.
Green. I get $2 from the bank.
This is a painful payment, and we might see
$2 from the bank.
if Robert could do it. He can't. He'll have too much money. I would think he'd want to spend his entire stack. Robert now adding in that additional taxation route. Just so much taxing going on around.
The board is so clogged with payments here. This is just not how we play in our friendly games at home.
What'd you do there? Sorry.
I tossed the green, and I bought this building.
Oh, okay.
Draw 1, discard 1.
No, you're before being taxed on. I hate that.
Yeah, you know.
In terms of the state of the board, something worth talking about is what players have chosen to unlock. We can see every time you go to Kansas City, you get to put down one of those discs, and that in turn unlocks a spot on your own board. And we see Jeff having now unlocked, making it to Chicago. He's able to unlock a brown space on his board, and so he has unlocked extra
You just did that so well,
movement
too.
power.
And I think this is another example of one of the things that separates me from the good players is I almost always go for the extra hand size. And I notice here that this is a play that he's making here to go for build a go faster, which maybe lets him go through the hazards section and still get to the tiles he wants. Whereas I just like to have more cows in my hand.
I think that's exactly it. I think with a board that's this clogged, you need that extra movement as soon as possible.
Here's some non-jerseys. $4.
And what's interesting is that almost everyone's placed down both of their taxation tiles. It's just Jeff who hasn't. And so we have this sort of swinging of the income that should ebb back and forth
Okay.
unless people take the hazard tile routes.
I'm gonna make a change. 5.
Jeff's sitting on a mountain of coins over there. The copper coins representing 5.
But you're at 20.
You just paid. Someone just paid me one.
Oh, got it. Sure. I just remember you announcing you were at 20.
Exciting. Now he's richer than he ever was before because 20 was
The
the
most
previous
rich he's ever been.
Yeah.
Continuously one up in myself.
Fan favorite Mark,
Good feeling for
making
this
sure
guy.
Jeff's on the up and up.
I mean, my turn's not spectacular. I'm trying to decide if I want to pay the bank 4 or you guys 3. The nice thing is that I would get one of those back from red, so it's effectively like paying white 2.
I think you should do it.
No, I'm gonna go with that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Very nice.
That's so there's capitalizing on having got that extra movement speed. He's now able to go through the swamp.
Feels like paying 4 to the bank instead of 2 to me seems like a bad proposition for you.
Well,
but
no,
I think
because
No,
it
he doesn't
enables him
actually.
to go here because I guess he doesn't have to.
He also pays me before he pays.
well, that's what
He
he
has
said.
one
He
to
has
pay
a
me
dollar.
already, but I don't think so. He could do a lot with $2 or $1,
Okay.
you know.
He could just walk down here and pay these Cowboys, right?
Or he'll do what he does last turn. I think there's lots of different things.
Them discussing Randy's options. Jeff opting to pay the bank because he doesn't believe that money will flow back to him.
And I am going to upgrade. You see, I don't have the builder, so I got to do it the old-fashioned way.
You just put it on
Lay on top.
Oh, is that okay? Sure. I want to throw it out of the can like a frisbee. 2.
He got his second taxation building, but at the cost of his first
4,
taxation
2
building.
6, so now I'm down to $15.
And that's because he doesn't have those extra workers like everyone else does. If we look at Randy's board, Randy has so many engineers just waiting to be plopped into stations.
Yeah, and you can see that he's already advanced his train once. Randy's going to have a good series of plays here for sure.
Yeah.
He's going to put some pressure on that fan favorite Mark there. So.
Not necessarily, just maybe.
Discard. Yeah, it's
But you could also use it. I don't know.
And then I get $7.
I can't do anything.
All right, so
The thing is, if I
1, 2,
save
3,
money, I
4.
end up paying for him here later.
That's
Probably.
$4 on these.
Interesting.
These.
Mark opting to pay 4 to the bank instead of 3 to his competitors.
Yeah,
I
they're
think
all-
again a wise choice. That
$2 to
this is a crunchy game.
It is for sure.
$7 goes away.
But everybody's just going to play a very,
You're supposed
very,
to
very
move the
tight
Cowboys.
economy game.
I was hoping you were moving the Cowboys because I already knew I was good with builders. So
And what's
I was there first. I beat you to it.
I don't care.
I'm
You
there
need.
first for the record.
Well,
I-
yeah,
I-
I wanted you to stay in builders.
I
I was going to
really-
be engineer guy this
I
game.
really didn't care. Really didn't care. If you guys both bought them, I'd have bought another cow.
yeah? So
Alright.
another interesting thing about this game here is, so you've got Nick and Mark have both gotten a lot of
I got my
building
guy.
tiles, but neither of them has a terrible lot of money.
Board's right. Yeah, you put the
And
money
when
in.
you place down that 4th builder tile, which they're going to be getting to before too long, the advantage of placing that one down is you get to pop down 2 buildings, but you still have to have some money in order to buy the builder and then be able to buy the building. So with all this taxation traffic, are they going to be able to capitalize on that, or are they just going to stay away from getting a 4th builder?
Yeah, we can see the benefit
I almost
of
said, why is that? But then I was
Jeff
like, man,
being
that
able
really
to
makes
having
sense.
such a
Yeah,
big
so-
payday. He is the richest man around the table.
Oh, you solved the
Very
puzzle.
helpful,
All right,
very
there it is,
helpful.
guys. I like to go with a healthy mix of overconfidence and bumbling idiots. I find that it's a good mix. You know, if you bounce back and forth between the two, they don't know whether to be intimidated or underestimate you, overestimate you. They never know.
Jeff talking about his strategy for all to see.
Never in my face.
Just me.
Normally
I
they're
just
friends.
say that to his
He
face.
just said it, yeah.
I will go there.
That's a good spot.
Wow.
Nice.
Randy
Oh, so you
opting to
can
not.
move one now, and then you'd have a pair, and you can go there next time.
Good. I might
That is
move one.
brutal.
It's on the list.
I'm here for you.
I think it actually is Route 1.
So he's going
Mark-
to take an auxiliary action instead of getting. I guess that's what he was limited to.
I obviously know what that card is.
And again, showing why that extra movement is so important in a board that is this cluttered. You don't want to just take an auxiliary action. You just get to take one thing.
Which is weird. I don't know which
And
one
on
it is.
Randy's board, it's a little hard to see, but I think he's only
I'd rather have it.
unlocked. He hasn't unlocked any of his other 3 abilities that are on those
I'd rather have it next to me. So
on
I'll
his
just
board.
take $1.
So he just takes $1. That is what he does with his turn. He
This
spends
dollar has to survive.
4.
Is this dollar going to survive? Who's building buildings now? Nobody's building buildings now. I think I actually get to keep this dollar.
He's deciding if it's even worth taking $1. That's how rough this board is.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're out in the casino with how quickly the money just disappears, you know?
Clocks. Money just disappears, you know?
I'm drinking caffeine. Have to pee. I always have to pee in the casino.
If I was in the casino, it wouldn't be caffeine I was drinking.
Well, I gave up booze a while ago, but old me would have been boozing.
I drink extremely rarely, but while gambling would be one
Yeah,
of
the time.
The best time to drink alcohol is, of course, when you have a potential to lose a bunch of money.
Yeah, well, that's the advantage of getting the drinks for free, right?
Yeah.
You'll take that deal.
I would take that deal. I'll take a free thing any day.
Not like you feel out of place, but it's just like, very, very drinking place. Oh, hey!
$2.
Taking one for the
$6.
team, helping out the best building in the game here.
Right. So here, he's making the extra stop here, getting a little more capital to go around the board. So he might very well be thinking this next path around the board, if I can
What was your
swing
auxiliary
it
action?
to
Sorry.
get that
$2.
extra engineer,
Look at all that money.
or
$6.
to that extra builder,
Yeah.
Felt early enough
get
in
a
the game,
builder
it's still
and
on
build at the
$6.
same time.
Really try to build up to that.
Is Nick planning for that play around the board this time
I'm gonna
around?
do the opposite. I'm gonna spend a buttload of money.
I mean, that's why I want $6.
1, 2, 3. So I'm going to break this 5.
And we'll see
5
Jeff
going
finally get back into the worker game. That's where he's headed.
One black
Says he's going to
out.
spend a buttload of money, so he's probably going to be purchasing 2
Pit boss joke.
workers. Only Cowboys remain
Sorry, I'm not
really
super
on the
familiar with
board
Pit Boss humor.
One black
for Jeff
is
to
like
pick up. It's time for
$100.
Jeff to specialize.
They say one black out, meaning that. Oh.
Don't.
Now that was splash in the pot. That's another.
Yeah,
game
that one I know.
term. Okay, all right.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess he knows poker lingo, not more than gambling lingo.
That's correct. I was a college boy. I played some poker.
About the right time.
Yeah, so I started with 15. 4 have gone here. I have 11 remaining. I will now choose to activate the first action, which is to discard a Galloway, receiving 2 from the bank.
13 coins
2
here to
go
spend
here.
on.
This goes to the discard.
And he has
Okay.
just enough to purchase 2
Now I have
Cowboys. If
13.
he buys one in the
First
-5 row,
action.
one in the -6 row, and then an additional 2 to purchase the second
Yeah,
one.
that's right. Sorry. The first action for 6. I almost thought I did the math wrong, but I did not. 6 there. That's the first action, buying it for its listed cost. Second one, I'm going to buy for its listed cost +2 or -2, however you want to look at it.
Beautifully counted.
Cost 7. Huzzah! Achieved the goal we all want, to be out of money.
You done?
Yes, I need to draw to my hand.
And it's
size,
almost
which means
it's
that-
almost good for Jeff to be out of money. Well, not really at this point. You'd want to be
he's
out of
gonna
money.
do his-
I discard a black for $2. I spend the $2 plus 1 makes $3. I buy this lovely cow.
And this is also where the board, the
And
initial building placement does make a difference and really can really shape how this game is panned out. If the big building tiles, like the building tile and the worker, were up north, these taxations might be having less of effect. You could try to run out of money at the beginning and then try to build up money in the middle stage of the board to get to those purchasings. But if you run out of money trying to avoid the tax man, you will not have the money to do those valuable building purchases and the worker purchases that you desperately need.
Or the cow purchase if you've invested heavily in Cowboys, right?
Yeah. We haven't seen a lot of cow purchasing. Everyone got those blues right off the bat, and then the reds are gone. But no one has yet purchased it. Has been able to purchase a brown or a purple because you
Yeah,
need the
but-
Cowboys to do so.
3.
That may change here. The market's going to drop down right now, and the cow market's going to refill here in just a few minutes here. So
He did what I did.
that may change the outlook on cows here for Jeff at least.
It's like everything.
That's for sure. Might make his cow play a really solid play depending on what comes up.
Great. I'll make choices. I'll make choices. Just make a boring choice.
Nick not wanting to put those engineers out on the
also-
board.
However, certificates are for people who spend time doing that stuff. It's kind of crazy.
Nick
Well,
unable to get to
go
that 10 level.
Hey, Oreo. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, 8 minus 4 is 4. I'll take $4.
Having to pay a significant cost to put his disc up there and not getting to do the benefit of placing in a
actually
sort
gonna
of darker
play
area, which would unlock the ability to move more or draw more cards.
I'm at 10, 12, 14, $16. And I'm going to reshuffle.
So you're at 16.
$16. The magic number, I'm sure,
Something anyway.
for something.
We can see the swamp tiles are really heavy.
So 1,
No way Nick is able to go down there.
4.
Jeff wanting to capitalize on his building.
Discard the green card, move my my train to. Second, I'm gonna use a grade for this one on the side there, so certificate will move down to 2.
And this again is a benefit of Jeff spending all of his money. He didn't have to pay the cost to move through the bandits. They just said, "Ah, you're poor. You don't have anything to steal." He said, "Yep.
And I'm gonna
Let me
rip
through,
the black
please."
off
And they
the
said,
top
"Go ahead."
because that's what I like.
Very jovial
Oh, man,
bandits.
it
You're a
ripped black
good
off the
player.
top. And I'm done.
Really accepting of those that don't have any money to steal from.
That's all good.
Let's get rid of these ones. These are gonna go in the shuffle. Yeah. $4.
Can you rip them?
1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll shuffle.
Take it.
One of the things here that's happening here as well on the shuffle is that we're just not
Did we reset the
relying on players to just
No,
shuffle their decks here.
we
We're
should've.
gonna
We
we do a little community
Should've.
passing
Was
and
that before I
cutting
bought?
and shuffling here as well too.
No,
You just-
no,
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 no.
Just this
You
turn.
just took this turn.
Immediately
Just
right
Avoiding
right.
some
Before
of
the
the
turn, you
ability
shuffle
for
it.
some player
You can
to
back out.
stack his deck.
He just took
It
this
was
turn.
right before my
It's
action.
great.
He
It's
went
great.
to
It's great. It's great.
So we need 7
You
counts.
said
Seven counts, that's
Because I
great.
was thinking,
Yep.
Yeah, Jeff.
So much for the perfect game.
we were, but I caught that quicker than it before it mattered.
Yeah, but
They
the
already
perfect
caught it.
game
The
is
internet already caught it. Come on.
perfect
The
game is
internet-
over.
The internet did catch
We were
it.
close enough, man.
The internet did
No.
catch it, but it's close enough that it hasn't affected. Nobody even had any money to
If I-
purchase any
if I
cows
just, like,
anyway, which
flip
is
the bird
why
to the camera, we can
nobody
cut this part
noticed.
of the video, right? So
Can you not talk about birds after last night? Or anything? I've had enough birds in my life.
yeah.
That's true.
All birds from now. Sorry.
Lots of brown and purple cards
That is
coming up,
Holy hell.
and some yellows.
Boy, 2
That's
cows is not the number of cows
that's
they have
it.
in this world.
That is, wow.
Okay, so
Wow, that is
I'm done. I'm just shuffling.
if you do not have cowboys
I'm
here,
gonna use the 2 cards.
you are going to have some cow
Yes,
problems.
Yeah, that puts Jeff in a really good position because he having 3 cowboys, it only costs him $6 to pick up a level 4 cow, and everyone else with 1 and 2, it will cost them $12 to pick up that brown cow.
Yeah, and I'm not too certain that he wouldn't actually try to get those small baby cows off the market because that even stifles the other players even more.
That's true. I just think the difference in points of 1 and 4 feels very significant to me, and especially
The
if
income
he
of the
already
deck.
has a yellow in his deck, but I don't believe he does.
I'm gonna review this. Right, I can review my absolutely, and then I have to get shuffling again.
It'll be interesting to see what he does, but I'm pretty sure he's going to stop at the cow station here.
Oh yeah, that's why he pointed it out. But also, yeah, Jeff doesn't have the money to purchase anything else. He'll be able to purchase a little yellow because he only has $2, and he'll get an additional $2 likely from discarding a cow in his hand.
Cut that again.
I do like this second edition, though. I like seeing all the changes be really implemented. It may not be enough for me to pull the trigger for my cheap self in getting a second edition, but it's a fun game, and I really do like the changes. All the changes that have been implemented. It just feels really nice in terms of the balance.
Definitely going here. Definitely getting a cert. Definitely driving my train.
And this is
It's definitely going 5.
the first
That's-
time we've seen
that's
that building be
less-
used.
It's going somewhere.
I see.
That's the thing I'm thinking.
Randy gets himself a purple certificate,
I am understanding.
and he's also going to be moving his train a number of times. up
gonna
to
capitalize
5
on
times,
that.
but he's just deciding if he wants to steal one of those station master tiles.
Yeah, there's three. I have 3 places I can land.
Right. Yeah.
He's able to jump over Jeff because Jeff's train is in the way. So he's deciding if he wants that second station master tile or the third station master tile.
Boy, I would heavily consider getting farther up that track if I can afford, if I have the money to afford that, because that just lets you save more money when you place your big disc out farther up the rail. It gets you further down the board.
I'm just gonna go for
See what he's going to take.
2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
he's
wow. He's not
ignoring the station master tiles. They're not beneficial enough for him.
Yep.
He doesn't want to move up on the certification as the instant bonus for the one. He doesn't want a hazard or a bandit in the other one. He just wants to not pay the cost. That's surprising to me. Or he wants to keep his engineers and keep that push going.
I play games like that.
If I get a bunch of money downstream, it's like nothing.
It all gets flushed.
Yeah.
That is a surprising move.
It is.
From-
It is.
from Randy.
It's just I think just a reflection here of how critical the economy is in this board state here.
Yeah. And
Right, you
also
have to
that,
make
yeah,
that
he
choice.
can't afford taking the time to purchase back the engineers on his board, especially with the board as it is, and the only engineers that are up in the market to replenish will cost him $9.
Yeah. So he's pretty much setting himself to saying, I'm taking those last 2 certificates. I'm gonna make priority to get both of them. Nobody else really has the engineers to rush him for those.
It's spicy. Go here. Spend $5.
Nick getting rid of a hazard tile. We'll see which way he wants to go. He might invest in the desert hazard at this point because his tax is only 1 there.
Interesting. I can see that.
Or because the swamp at this point feels like it's a no-go, and that will help with his lesser movement as well to make sure he can get around those.
He could do the mountain pass, but even after he does the mountain pass, it's still expensive. Let's see what he takes. He's going to go for the swamp.
He's going for the swamp, but he takes a green swamp out of there to, again, push people towards his
Discard the screen. Take 2.
black. He does have the best of both worlds down there. If people want to remove swamp tiles for him, they can, and then he can access his building. This is surprising to me, though. If he was planning on placing that building there, why?
Got your hand size.
I suppose he wants to make it by placing his building there and keeping 3 hazard tiles, with the majority of the players only being able to move 4. They're resigned to landing on his or going through Tax City.
And then he bounced to
Right.
here.
And we paid 6 for the building, so we paid 11 total and 1 tax. So
But I think
12
that'll only drive money
12
into
less than
both
we
Randy
expected.
and
I got 2,
Mark's
so the green
Mark's
side,
hands.
10 less than what I started
10
with,
less than
which was
you
16, and I'm at 6.
Great. Okay, the way that you moved money up here and then you pulled it back. So I thought you had paid that money that you moved up here. That's fine.
I think it was a different 5. I think there were 2 5s.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
I think when I take change, I put it here, and then this is my bank.
Oh,
and I
got
think
it.
that's what you're
Okay,
thinking
got
about.
it. Okay,
When I pay, I put it on the table.
great.
That's twice we've been able to audit something with the writing the number down.
So good.
That really helps.
Super smart.
I can't believe I haven't been doing this all these years.
It's a pretty nuanced thing to come up with.
And by the way, semi is a final, not needs, but
Yeah.
I think you're hearing the voice of Anthony's father, Scott Sasenti, in the background, and he is really great at this game. This is his bread and butter game. It is. We were so lucky to have such great GMs up and down the board for every one of these games. That the whole crew was amazing. From the recommendations that we got for the wingspan judges from Elizabeth Hargrave, she pointed us towards some people who worked on her
Sorry, just to clarify,
rules editing team.
Let's just say
You can't get much better than that.
No. But I think we got quality judges all the way up and down the board. I really was impressed with who we have to do this.
And then this benefit would occur, so that's possible.
That all works. Yes.
Okay.
We do it in that order, so that's how it happens.
Jeff just clarifying the order,
Hypothetical. I mean, this is purely in the hypothetical.
seeing if he
realm.
wants to take the station master and then bump himself up,
Now here's the rub.
because that station
there's
master
no
would
rub.
move him 2 on the certificate, and he'd want to get the maximum of that.
You wait for like 8 turns like I've done before.
I mean, that's a good one. It's worth points and stuff, you know. 1, 2. Well, yeah, I'm gonna get that, so I'll have some money to work with. 2, 3, 4, 5. So first, I'll take this first action, removing this guy.
So you're not moving the guy.
What?
Well, his other action.
No, I have my other action. So
He has
I
first
receive
action
him,
left. Yep.
and I get 4.
So you are allowed to take the action in any order. I think is what they're pointing out here.
Yeah, and Mark was confused because the other slash of this action is move the train, but Jeff has unlocked on his board.
Now I'll move to my
He can
auxiliary.
pay
I must pay
$1
1 my
to move his train forward, which is something the other players cannot do because they have not invested in those actions.
I'm going to pay 2 to take a disc off. I'm going to choose this disc.
Is he going to drop the cowboy here?
He has to.
He does. He does want the.
I mean, there's so many cowboys left, but this is surprising to me. I guess he'll still have an opportunity to purchase another cowboy if he wanted to go the cow route. But these certificates are just as good as having some cows.
My hand size is 4, which is the number of cards in my hand.
We also thought Jeff might have been able to discard a card and purchase one of those small little cows, but he decides he doesn't want that in his deck.
It's not broke.
I go here.
Don't fix it.
I get $3.
Oh, there it is, guys. It's all open. Well,
Game
fine.
clear.
It's not open.
1, 2, 3. And then I will double loot. I think I'll just discard those 2 cards. And pass that.
Mark just cycling his deck, waiting in preparation to hit Kansas City.
Here's $5. You guys can divide it
got
up. 1, 2. You get 3, and blue gets 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So
6,
here's the 5. It's being broken into. Sorry, it's being
Oh,
broken
I
into
I
5.
understand.
2, 1, 2 back to you.
Nope. 2 there.
2 there. Okay.
That's it.
There we go.
There we go. Now they have to pay right.
Again, showing that breaking down the system is so important. It's really a good system that they're just putting those tax on the tiles because there are so many taxation tiles. We see Randy running forward to get that station, which I like a lot. Again, it is those permanent certificates.
This, I get to put it.
He's done with his buildings, so he's not planning to build anymore. So he's training his builder.
So that he can keep that power of the engineers
Yeah.
and keep pushing that train forward.
Cog action.
Yeah, I like this line. There's definitely points to be scored in dropping off inside those stations. Running your train up.
Who do you think's winning right now, Brian?
To be honest, it looks to me like Randy is in the lead here, and I would say that, you know, Jeff looks to be in the next best position here. I think the other two players have a tremendous amount of work to do to get.
Yeah, I think so too. Randy is in a very comfortable position right now. Although buildings on the board, Nick does have 4 buildings versus everyone else's 2.
I'll discard disc. Sorry. 'Cause I'm not gonna
They're
take
still
all this
fairly
stuff.
low-scoring buildings. He's going to have to capitalize with some big point buildings down the road if he
Oh, my
wants
bad.
to continue down that avenue.
Camera guy.
And I guess Mark is going to try to get into that game as well too. They both have the 3 builders. It feels a little late. I don't know.
That is my turn.
A lot's gonna depend upon how their cows come out at their
Okay,
next trip to the
Set up
market
for
here,
the
if they
bad
can
play. I'm doing the bad play.
get up far enough.
Also, 1, 2, 3, 4.
We see Nick using his building,
Discarding this 3. Take $7.
getting a significant.
Exciting.
Discarding this 1.
So he's gonna.
Yes, sir.
This is where he's got to capitalize. He's got to set up to capitalize for this double building play.
And we're thinking.
It's going
for a
to
hot
be
second.
very critical to him to get him back in this game here. He's going to have to.
Yeah, I thought you said you didn't mess around with search earlier. I believe he said that,
I
right?
did say that.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, Nick having to really
Oh,
go
it's a turning
down
point in his life.
the building strategy.
That's fair.
But so him and Mark both haven't moved their trains,
Such a self
and
Yeah.
I guess I'm winning this game.
All right, we're gonna fight in the parking lot. No. What,
So
it just
Mark,
feels like
I think
moving
Mark
your
is the
train
one
feels-
who's in
yeah.
a really bad position here because I'm looking here at the board. Oh no, he will be able to get there. Well, it depends. Yeah, I think he'll be fine. So I was a bit concerned here because there's only one engineer left on the board, but another engineer is going to come out.
Something happened.
So Mark's not going to be trapped. I'm sorry, one more builder is going to come out. So he won't be trapped on the builder play.
I think that would be good.
But he's going to have to buy it off that row. Well, I can't quite see the price of the row where the current builder's at. Actually,
I believe it's 6.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm checking my board. It's 6 cost.
so that's probably not too bad of a price right now.
And that'll be the cost for the other builder that whenever someone moves through Kansas City. We see Nick agonizing
I draw 2.
over what double action he was going to take, remembering what was in his deck.
Jerseys.
Not jerseys.
Not jerseys.
And then draw more to get up the court.
But a lot of that comment, I assume that the cows, the gray cows,
12 there.
I know they were called jerseys now, but I guess none of them are called jerseys anymore. So
Yeah.
with the not jersey joke.
Numbers, and I don't.
That we've been hearing throughout the game.
Sadly, need to go ship to Kansas City for a measly amount.
Jeff not getting the draw in his hand that he needs.
No choice here. Should get the engineer in the game.
So I think so here's an interesting play here. If he pulls out puts the other bandit on the board here, if another bandit comes up for Mark, then Nick can't play into the builder strategy right here. So he has to think about that right now because he traps that 2 marker where he can't buy off that row. It is a bit risky because he needs the exact tile to fall for
But it
him
means
to.
anything.
Made some money.
But he's definitely going to think about it here real quickly.
Needed it.
And it looks like he's not going to take the risk. And he's going to put the tile out, which opens up the play. I'm sure that Nick was sweating that just a little bit.
So
And this is a tough.
So I can decide to use some of these. I think I'm going to use 2 to get it up to 8. I need a little cash to work with.
Yeah,
Does keep-
So that I
Jeff
have
not
to
having
cash.
enough to get to that number 12, which he was probably hoping for.
Because that could have unlocked the second hand
Take out
sizer.
the row 1 disc.
Yeah, really opened the game for him.
Here. I'll decide
That is a
on
tough
my
hand, only
objective.
having 5.
Mm.
Showing once again the
I
benefit
have
of that
this
cycle
advantage.
action
And
that
look at that, I can move through taxes.
well,
That's
that
what
all
I
3
do.
players have unlocked their double
What did
cycle,
I make there?
other than Jeff.
Yeah. And then New York.
Wow,
So,
look at all that New York.
Mm.
New York,
Yeah.
New York.
Isn't it like Ticket to Ride? You get 3, you get shuffle.
I did not collect my money. Sorry,
You should have a total of 10.
I said 8. Yeah,
Yep.
so here's 10, 2 back. I was just as ready, just assuming it was already taxed.
Jeff has already written off his income due to the state of the board.
I'm gonna spend my little token. Got you.
Mark needing now to spend his exchange token going into this Kansas City, hoping
look
to
at that.
diversify his hand.
Oh, I guess it was going to drop anyway because the 2 slot is going to drop it in. I miscalculated that completely, so he was going to get that option. But now, let's see what happens here.
I reveal 10.
Those bandits piling up, the money for defeating them piling up.
Chicago.
Yeah, that was a miscalculation.
And we see Mark get to Chicago as well, being able to unlock his additional movement. Everybody needing that movement. Only Nick does not have that movement unlocked.
18. Goes to you. This moves here. I get 4 cards.
Mark not concerned about paying the penalty required to,
It's enough bandits to give me calls.
because his train has not moved up
The
enough.
crazy part is, in addition to giving me money, it also takes money away from yellow and blue if I stop on bandits. Because I could give this to the bank instead. Seems relevant, right?
Seems relevant.
$3 to my opponents and go in, or $7 to me.
We see Randy calculating.
It's just
You mean stop it here to get bandits?
Yeah.
Oh.
where else would I get bandits?
Oh, you're saying you have to pay us if you go there.
No.
He was
other way
thinking
around.
you were talking about just paying off the bandits.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me too.
It's legal play.
It is legal play.
Legal play.
Successfully derailed my thought process. Thank you.
That's too bad that it derailed you because you're like the engineer guy too. You're
I
really
feel like it's that person
trained,
about to be.
you know,
Staying off the rails, aren't
right? It's pretty okay if we're off the rails. As cow guy, who cares?
I don't even know what rails are.
I did my rail thing. got
I know.
2
You know what rails are. I don't know what rails are.
Well, I had to do something while you guys
Nick
were,
doesn't know what rails
you
are.
know, forming the
Last
IRS.
game I did rails. The semifinals that I played of this, every single train was past the 12th mark. Every single train.
Ours, before anyone got a engineer, everyone was to 8.
Wow.
We were all just doing the leapfrog.
Yep. I got the highest here, and I never had more than a second engineer.
Them talking about the differences in the games,
That is weird.
it's fascinating to me how the different games can play out because of that leapfrog mechanic that Mark was talking about.
6 to there.
If there are 3 trains in front of you, like directly in front of you, just moving one moves you up 4 spots essentially, and then becomes a much more viable action. But with the spread out nature of this, that's certainly not going to happen.
So he does decide to go that path. Take the
$6.
stop and get the bandit off the board. So here we have it's going to have a double build here off of an extra build off of the engineer here.
And he upgrades his tile.
Still hope for your train.
To, I believe, 7B. 7B, where move your engine up as many spaces as you have building tiles in the woods.
It's good to be paid for all this.
Nick
that's-
only having two building tiles in the woods, though.
That's a heavy tile for taxes again, and
Yeah.
it's also a good score. So this is where he's going to make his bread and butter for scoring is going to be on these buildings right here.
I think it's exactly just placed for the taxation.
Change for the 5.
Well, it's
As
pretty
we see
impossible.
the tax man happening over and over. Jeff deciding if he's going to buy a building or upgrade.
Discard a green here for 2 gold for the first portion of that action.
Jeff has a few options. He has upgraded to that level 2. He could upgrade it again to the sort of level 3 building if he wanted. Oh, upgrading is his only option because he has used up his 2 smaller ones, I believe.
No one's paying me this tax anyways, so spend the newly acquired $2 to upgrade this from a 2 to a 3.
That's exactly what he does. He gets the same building that Nick has on the board. Again, this is that 5A tile, which used to be 6A and required you to have a specific cow to discard. This one, you don't need a specific cow. You just need a level 3 cow, and you can get $7, a really good economy engine building to put in play. And a great observation by Jeff saying, hey, nobody's paying me the tax anyway.
Did I forget
Jumping
something?
on my head now.
What?
Gotta be on
I have
time.
a drinking problem.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, I'm pouring it all over myself.
Okay. It wasn't anything with my turn.
No,
Okay.
just did not
I thought I lost myself a gold or something. You know?
So he built and did that.
Sure.
A really solid play by Jeff, I think.
You just like my play so much, you wanted to.
Oh, I don't think I'm ever going to use it, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, I am cowboy guy, so maybe I don't know what kind of guy I am.
You done as much right now?
It's my turn.
Yeah, right now Jeff is the no people guy.
Yeah, that's much more accurate.
It's gonna cost me.
That's, I think, where we might see Jeff falter as the game moves forward. The fact that everyone else sort of has this specialization,
I guess I
and Jeff, in order to get that station master tile, gave away his cowboy and essentially gave away his possibility of purchasing those level 4 cows for cheaper. But he still does have 2 cowboys. The only person who doesn't have 2 cowboys is Randy, so the other 3 will be able to purchase those big level 5 cows, which can be worth up to 7 points. The level 5s are variable in points, so it rewards those who purchase them sooner. Fan favorite Mark, taking his time, seeing if he can pull out his 3rd win ever and win the highest stakes game he's ever played.
No.
So that is 2, 4, $8.
That's just a little broken elephant thing. I decided to take it as my lucky charm. I've never used it before for anything. It's literally just for this.
Oh, well, that's great.
Lucky charm for the weekend or gaming in general?
For this weekend. I went into my like
It's
little
working.
tchotchke thing and I was like, this is my lucky
2,
charm.
3, 4, 5, 6. I'm
Not a bad lucky
5,
charm,
7.
having gotten Nick into
So I have
the
a
2
lot
final
of
tables,
Mario Kart here.
based only on luck alone, I guess,
So
by
it's
that statement.
only $8. Right, so this 5 is for white.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
That is crazy.
And then 3 is for red.
Thank you.
Alright. Here, I get the privilege of discarding
The 5 being because he moved through 2 of White's buildings.
For $2.
I think.
Yes, he did. One of them's 3. The one in that the money's on right now is a 3 cost, and the other one is cost 2.
There's $6.
And he was able to do that action by landing on his own blue and then propelling him forward.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's 7 moves,
$4.
and he wouldn't be able to do it. That's what I was getting confused about.
$2 I got for that.
So he's able to get his
No.
builder out, and from this builder here, he's able to clog up things even more.
Is that right? I'm mostly broke.
And which building is he looking at here? Is he looking at a double tax building?
I don't think so.
No, he's looking. Which one is that?
Yes. That goes.
It's worth 5 victory points. That might be our new
And I have $2.
6B, 6A.
I get a card.
Okay.
No, it's not. I lied to you.
Do the thing.
I go into Kansas City. This person. In your honor mark.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't have any money to pay any of that taxes.
And the movement.
That is a newer
condition.
tile. I don't.
Eh. This guy.
I don't have that tile in my old set.
Consciousness or?
No, this game, I don't know how I can get out of this tax issues.
Created a brutal world for you.
It looks like it's that might be the new 6A. I think it is.
9, 10, 11, 12.
Nice.
Put this. This came to Toledo. And collect exactly the $12. So 5, 10, 11, 12.
At any rate, it looks like you can use your builders for -1 and then move your person 1 space.
That's my turn.
We hear the chants of Ra in the background,
Okay.
also being played simultaneously.
I will go 1, 2, 3, 4.
I get $1.
I can't stop drawing non-jerseys, so we'll get rid of those. Take $4.
Nick having some really solid card play in the last few turns, really helping boost that economy. We could see some big moves from Nick, and he needs that economy if he wants to continue down the builder strategy. We see Randy having just cashed out
Think for a while
and made it
about what's
to
gonna
past
happen
Chicago.
when we spend $7 and take a thing off the
Now has unlocked that additional movement on his board.
Probably use all the
Randy still has his double exchange tile and a
and I'll go.
fistful of money. Randy feels in a really good position right now. He's dominating the train track. He's not having to pay those additional costs. He's got a few key spots on the board, and his engineer are just out of control. He can keep on soaring up that train track.
Plus, his ability to move around the board quickly, he can really just punch through this game quickly and just capitalize on the position. Try and keep the other players from getting back into this game. I really like his position right now.
I like his chances. I think it's Randy's to lose right now. But it does feel close. Everybody seems to be capitalizing. I think that 8 is going to really hinder Jeff.
Move my train forward too.
If he could have gotten to that level 12 when he was 1 short, that might be the That might be the thing that sets him back.
You do have trains.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Tie up all the coins when you get
First,
chance.
always
Look
go.
at this.
Mark pays a boatload of money.
The auxiliary action.
That is crazy.
I join the.
This is a play that I could not make. Could not make that play of going around that.
That's just so much money.
I then get 4 moves.
So he gets money back for his builders, 4 money back for his builders, and then he gets to proceed again.
Yeah.
That still did not feel worth. Wow, what? Not sure what he was doing there.
Yeah, it seems very odd that he didn't choose to place it not outside of the hazards. I think he was using it to try to cycle his jerseys for that additional action. But still, it doesn't feel worth it to me.
I get a certificate. I drive my train. There. Pay $6 in order to put this guy.
Randy placing a clutch station master. That's going to only snowball him further with that additional certification. Now he has a permanent 3 on his certification, making every hand he turns in worth 3 more.
I'm just
Plus, he
gonna do
unlocks a black disc. Just deciding what he wants.
Does he want that?
Or maybe
extra
not a
hand,
black
or does he
disc.
want? It's not a black disc.
I don't know. I'm checking my board now.
Yeah,
it is a black disc.
But he chose to go. Can't see which part of his board he took there.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he took that off of.
$4. Let's put in 1.
Yep.
You got 5. Draw 2, discard 2.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure where he took that off of either.
I'm really surprised he didn't go with a hand.
Bump up that hand
He had
size.
that option.
It just feels like opening that hand size would let him run away with the game at this point, with the extra movement and just plowing through.
I agree. I wonder if this is the opening.
So we'll pay
An opening here for
$100
other players to.
there. Go here. So first we'll do the bonus action to get a certificate. $2. Then do this one.
It's
$2
almost like Nick and I are
Jeff continuing to capitalize on that early 2B building.
Sorry.
Falls into my area at the tax.
Never comes out.
$2. Discard pile. Here. Green cow. Sorry, you were in the station, right? Green cow. Train moves up 2. I think I might as well claim it. Gotta get points somehow.
Completely empty of workers here.
Jeff just sacrificing his workers over and over for those potential end victory points. Knowing it's the last station tile on the board.
And I could get it. I'd be giving up this cowboy for a hazard. Sorry, I'm just deciding. So, well, I'm gonna pay the 4. Give up this one.
That is the benefit. Jeff does have now a lot of actions unlocked. We see every player choosing to ignore the other actions, which are move your train back and move up your certificate, which only 2 players could capitalize on, and the other, which is trash a card, move your train back, and get a coin, which is a new difference in this edition. You used to not get a coin for that. That is the bottom action on everyone's player board.
Remove some of the tax burden I have to pay. I'll take this one. Nope. I'm gonna just take this one.
Jeff opening up the swamp
Pay taxes to you guys.
instead of the other route.
Just a small victory in my life. That will complete my turn. I'll actually draw a 3.
You see Jeff counting up the spaces he needs to move. You see the choice now when placing out bandits. Obviously, you're going to opt for the ones that cause a much heavier taxation. But you can also be checking your objective cards, which sometimes require you to have specific tiles.
6.
Okay. And Mark's
Mark
still
with
looking for
6.
a few more turns,
I'm gonna go.
stretching the game out. Probably one more turn with that selection.
Which gets me $3.
6 is a tough hand to have at this point in the game,
Put out.
but it's still getting you into the sort of valuable area.
I was confused by why you took 3.
Okay.
Did I miss something?
1, 2, 3.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Yep. Right for the X's.
Both Mark and Nick needing to pay those tolls for having not moved their train whatsoever.
$13.
13.
You. This goes to me.
And now over to Randy, who has separated his money into piles. He has some moves that he is interested in achieving.
$2 for Mark, $5 for Nick. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And here we see how important, as the board gets clogged up, how important that 4A tile is that lets you get that additional movement. Randy's deciding if he wants to buy a hazard tile or not. But it's more important to just claim those spots that slow down your opponents and let you keep moving forward.
I'm looking at there's still 4 more rows to there.
So, it's just so defeatist.
And I think we'll see Randy purchase an engineer here. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I think so.
It's
Especially if he's
so
got
interesting.
the non-jersey in his
I
hand.
started at a 3 to 2
Then he can get his
favorite, now I'm a 10
six.
to
He's
1
going to get his
underdog.
certificate
Means
bump
we
here
can
if he's
make
got
more
that.
money. People can make more money off
That's
of that
right.
money,
That's right.
right?
And that's pretty significant with
Randy's odds are shrinking.
that certificate bump and the 2 station masters that Randy has. He can essentially have 6 extra coins in his hand. Randy seems to be just soaring away with this game.
Yeah, and let's see here.
But Nick now heads to
Think about it.
And he
The-
already he did not yet pick up a New York City objective, but there's 3 on the board, so he'll probably try.
there's
to
3 on the board. He'll
catch me
yeah.
on the next trip.
I'm gonna look at these and then reshuffle.
3, 5, 7, 9, 10.
Hey, welcome to
Nick
Chicago.
finally
Thank you.
managing to
Thank you.
sneak into Chicago, and that is hugely important for him at this juncture in the game. He has not unlocked any of his black spaces, and I think we'll see him take the movement again, giving him a little bit of an extra income bump in the process. Oh no! He chooses to go for the certification instead.
Patrick, if you're watching, this move's for you. Oh, it's really
And he said, Patrick, if you're watching, this move's for
five
you.
for the X's, yes.
Choosing not to
I
go
know,
for
I
the
didn't
extra
take any
movement
dimensions on it, so I take 5.
and going for that certification.
Which disc? Oh,
Wow.
I see.
So I'm at
Wow.
26 or a million, whichever one you want to do.
That is a huge decision with possibly significant ramifications down the line. But maybe Nick doesn't need the movement at this point. No one's removed. He's always going to go around those tiles.
Guy who says, this is cool to open. When you
Excuse
build
me?
this.
white order all
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, if you build that and you
Okay.
don't open that, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, you just finished.
Yeah, them looking ahead towards the buildings.
So yeah, he's probably looking at building 10A.
Thank
That,
God.
that is
Absolutely 10A.
that building is going to be monstrous for him. He
That's-
is planned into this play.
You know what I'm talking about.
That's exactly.
Which Patrick?
The guy you played at the WBC who was like surprised.
Oh, that guy. Yeah. Patrick McGuire. Absolutely.
He and I played a bunch online.
Yeah, that makes
Like that's where I got good at out here.
That makes sense too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't remember this being video games. Online couple
Pandemic,
online
baby.
sessions with
Pandemic,
him.
baby.
The players talking about their training. Shout out to Patrick.
Yo, you are. Okay.
Trying
If Nick is able to pull this out, I think, you know, we got to give 99% of the credit to Patrick.
We're gonna have to find out where Patrick is and bring him on in.
Nick might have to split his ring in two,
As a P,
and he and Patrick can link them together like the new Captain Planet members.
All right, let's let her fly. You know, I gotta score points somewhere. 1, 2, 3, ha, broke. 4, 5, 6.
Jeff just pushing towards their.
I mean, at this
With the
point,
tempo of this game, I wonder if Nick will be able to capitalize on this building. We know where he's going on his first turn, and he only needs 4 movement
frequently visit Kansas City
to get there.
so as to not allow the mayhem to continue.
Jeff now deciding to push the tempo of the game,
Someone's gotta do it.
Because he's way
refreshing
behind
the
on
cows.
workers. He can't do much with workers, so he definitely
Wow.
needs to.
Wow.
Nobody wanted to buy this.
I was full on planning to buy cows, except for
Well,
you
the
guys.
cow
tax
market
me
doesn't
a
even
little bit.
refresh.
What money was I supposed to
Yeah,
use for
nobody
cows?
has purchased a cow since
But
the
I will
last
still
refresh.
shrewdly have
Game state.
This is cows are.
I did.
Oh, is it an objective card?
Yeah.
Take it whether you want it or not. So.
Right. I will take just one. Don't want those.
You know what, New
It's
York?
in your, it's
And
in your
it's,
shuffle.
right.
You
So
are also
this
which you're
this
able to
card
choose-
for sure was it.
I'm inclined to just believe you.
Yeah,
You had
can
one card
also
from
take
your
the
old
top
deck.
card too.
You
don't
had-
have to
you had a
take that one.
specific
You wanna
rule
take
for the
that
way
one.
this
Okay,
goes.
alright, just making sure.
So we should just do the way
What?
there's a specific rule for if you had a card that wasn't right. So that I don't know. I had a judge come by and he was like, "Oh, this rule happened already once," and it was that you would have end up with one of those cards.
Do you understand
pulled
the
out of
situation?
random.
He had a 1-card deck.
Three
And
card
he
deck.
shuffled.
No,
Three
three
card
card
deck.
deck.
Three card deck.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is
the
the
3-card
card
deck.
that should be shuffled in.
Okay, he had a 3-card deck. He drew all 3, shuffled, and drew 1. That objective should have been in the shuffle.
Yes.
So, are we just going to trust him that the 1 card is?
Right. Or
Is that all right with everybody here?
It is okay with me.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's fine.
Good.
Sure.
Let's do
We
that.
believe you.
Yeah, so they're going over the misplay rules,
I mean, there's
and I guess the players had the option there to make him randomly shuffle 1 card back in, but they decided to trust Nick as to which one it
Special
was
effects.
that
It's like,
that
Yeah.
had
at
the
that
shuffle.
point,
right.
you
I'm,
know,
I'm going for the
So,
Phil Hellmuth.
we need
board
a-
You know what?
game, right?
And I think again that's a
Sorry,
testament
are you at the
to
dive final table?
the players.
Nice. Ricky too, or just you? You and Ricky? Go,
Wow.
go, Gadget group chat. Excellent. So, Mark sat down and announced that he's only won 2 games of his lifetime.
And that was in the heats because he only played you and like
Yes. Yes, and Ricky.
No, your group is a little rough.
Good luck over there.
Yeah, good luck.
Talking to the players ready to sit down for Gaia Project.
You get another card flipped up.
All right.
We can see the camaraderie of
Including
these
objectives.
I'm going to Toledo.
players who know that they're pretty good at games and often play with each other
And I proceeded
and are
to
just
step
trying
forward. I
to
was all
eke each
excited.
other
I
out.
was
A lot of which having made it to the finals
That's pretty good.
as they train together,
I know, it's pretty
or
good.
just friendly from going to various conventions as well, and just being
The permanent.
entrenched in the board gaming hobby.
Yeah. Because I'm the certificate loser, you know.
That's what I've heard.
12.
So you take 12?
No, I take 11, right?
But yeah, I
Because
think
I'm the
I
tight
think
end,
moving
so
back.
I pay one. I pay
Yep.
for that X.
Yep.
Which you already know that whatever I take is what I get because I never have money.
So it's going to be interesting to see
11.
if can Jeff close out this game with
And I
3
will choose to
certificates
remove
and
this
no
disc
workers.
so
Is
I
that
can
a position
Yeah.
for him, or is just
do all of
Randy
it.
just so far ahead of him because he still has a ton of engineers and he has 2 certificates and has got himself farther along on the train line.
One there,
But maybe doesn't have
and
enough
I need to draw an additional
cards in his
4 for
hand.
3
I think
cards.
he'll be fine with 4 cards in his hand.
Cost me $3.
And then we also have Mark and Nick heading up the builder strategy, but it seems like Nick is implementing that a lot better than Mark, having built 5 buildings now compared to Mark's 3. But here comes Mark with another
I
building.
was wondering why the deck is so
Oh, sure.
We'll see what he puts out on the board. I just think Mark's building play into the hazards feels so weird to me.
So I think he has all his certificate spots unlocked. Does he have all his certificate spots unlocked as well? Is he able to make this same play that Nick's looking at? Is that... No, he's coming. Or is he coming with that same play? No, he's going different play.
No, he lays one down that just gives him the auxiliary action and some movement to allow him that important cycle heading into the Kansas City.
all 3 rounds of this. Trying to sit down and play terrible.
I do generally like that play. I don't know if it's good enough for this stage of the game, but I do like that play.
It's a great
I've never
positioning.
played,
It's a
and I
great
really would
position.
like to learn before.
Yeah, let me switch. He was like, I'll look at it. And then he was like, yep, it's good for the numbers. I'm going to have switch.
Wow.
The objective cards has to be played either before my action or after my action. It can't be played like mid-move, right? It can't be like move 2, move 3. Okay, alright.
That is
Because I'd
correct.
like to go like 1, 2, 3, play my
Ricochet
card,
for
and
that.
4, 5, 6, 7. You know, that'd be sick.
You can't if you stop.
Yeah, well, no, now I'm probably gonna have to, right?
Not that you have it.
Hypothetically, once again.
But yeah, I really do like the vibe of this final table. Everybody knowing that we're playing with great players who, like Jeff was saying earlier, you want to beat the best, and you want to do that in a way that is competitive and you can feel proud of. And I think it speaks to all the players sussing each other out and knowing that, like, yeah, Nick was likely telling the truth, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he was positing that he might be the bad boy Phil Hellmuth of the board gaming world, but I think he's not quite like.
Nick was saying that?
Well, yeah, Nick mentioned that. Am I the Phil Hellmuth of WSBG world? But I think he's definitely got a different personality than Phil Hellmuth. So.
Yeah, I don't think Nick gets mad enough. Nick is able to keep a cool head. We see him counting at the money now. I am really excited to see this building go on the board and where it ends up. It allows you to move 5 after using it.
Yeah, so he doesn't need the big movements if he's going to play this thing to swing all the way around the board.
Exactly.
And I don't know if he's going to come off his tax line here, or if he's going to put it maybe on the bottom drop.
I think if you're Nick, though, you have to put it ahead of you. You can't afford at this point in the game to not be able to capitalize on that building placement.
I think, though, that whatever he's going to do is he's coming to this play every single time he's going to go around the board, which is probably only a few more times. So wherever it lands, the next play that is 4 or 5 spaces away has to be the play that he wants to make as well every single trip around the board.
Spending $5.
And he's getting a hazard as well.
It's going to be take a hazard off.
Wow.
This will be an interesting decision. Does he go desert or does he go swamp? At this point, he's got to go desert. No, he goes for the mountain. Again, he wants to keep that. He wants to keep the desert crunchy to encourage people to move through him, I suppose.
Discard a green. $2.
Mark will be very happy to see that, as it's one less space for him to move through.
I wonder if
And then he's
he needs
upgrading
that for
into
his
that
placement
tax
of his
line.
building. Okay, so there it is. He's done with the tax. He wants his big building here.
Now 10A does have a black hand on it as well, so
Oh,
it's
does it?
still in the tax line.
Oh, it does. It does. So he just reducing it a little bit.
Yeah, but he has to do that right there. He wants to be able to shoot up on the certificates, and that's how Nick is going to get back in the game and start to lay down some very important locations that he's been missing out on a bit.
Sorry, just thinking, guys.
Such a valuable building. It just, every time you move around the board, you get to max out your certificates, no problem. And it doesn't even cost you an action because you get to keep on moving more than Nick's movement points currently. It is the best building he could ever play at this point in the game.
So I'm sure Jeff wants to capitalize on pushing the tempo up of the game, but I'm not sure he's really finding a great landing spot here.
Yeah.
For what we're doing, this is actually reasonably happy. So those are two quite different answers.
I agree with both of them.
Okay.
Is he going to make a short stop? Yes. Nope.
2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going through. So 5 in, 2 down. That's
Going to
going.
stop here and
I'm here for the first half of the action. I'm going to pay green for 2. Discard pile with the green. 2 will be removed from my coffers. So I'm now down here. Wait. No, I sold that green for 2. Hold on, sorry, I just got tired all the time.
How much did he have?
I had 10, I had 11. I had 11, I gave away 3, that's 8. Then I sold the green for 2, puts me back to 10. But I'm going to spend that 2.
To upgrade one of his buildings.
I do have $8, yeah. So this would go from a 4 to a 5, that's 1 point.
9 o'clock? Yeah.
From a 2 to a 3. Huzzah. Oh, sorry.
There you go.
Jeff putting into play that same building
Okay, so that's both halves of that action, and then
that
after
Mark
my action,
managed
I
to
can
get
play
out on
my
the board.
objective card. Is that correct?
And that should be
Alright, I
3B.
will play that.
Do a double auxiliary action,
1,
and
2.
then move your
So the
person
next
1
time,
step.
No penalties, right?
Great.
Okay.
Well done.
So
That's
now I'm
committed.
on the hook. It's okay, I've already completed
Yeah, I screwed up.
it.
I don't have the white 2 that I needed for the $2 that I had thought I had.
Oh, Mark's saying that he screwed up. He miscalculated. And he's now short.
Buying cow.
This could be a colossal setback for Mark.
Not helpful. One, two, three, four, $4.
Again, showing why Nick didn't take the desert out of play, because he wants people to be paying through the nose. He wants people to be tempted to move through his to get some of that income swing
I
back.
just lose the $4 $5 and lose the $5, then I've just lost all down to 1.
That may change our minds.
Not terribly. At least he's been through this once before. You don't keep it in mind, so it's missing.
Okay, I don't know what you're gonna say.
It's just a ring for the ring presentation.
Oh, that.
I'll catch you.
3, 4, 5. I'm gonna go to the spot I have.
It's going to be 7:30.
Mark not having enough
It's cost me $4
to purchase the workers that he wanted to because of not having that white in his hand, needing to pivot.
You don't have 9. That means that should you win this event, we kind of need to do it like 7:30.
Okay.
Okay, so you know what to do. But if not, they're probably going to do the ring presentation at 8:30. So just if you're
We've just cut ahead. We hear Brian in the background discussing when the players will get up for the ring celebration.
I'm fairly certain that I'm not going to be the winner of this current game, but I guess do I need to be there anyways as a finalist?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
For the 8:30. You don't need to be there. You do not.
Randy
need to
having
be
taken
there
his
at
move.
7:30 if you did not win the event.
Okay. So 8:30 unless I find a rabbit.
Jeff is saying that he doesn't like his chances right now,
So
and
I paid $1 to get to bandit action.
it's a tough call. Jeff is really behind on not having any
And
people,
double cog action.
whereas everybody else does have sort of a path to victory. Jeff still has to rebuild his engine almost,
Just seems sketchy. Yeah, it's $2.
and was unable to really heavily invest in cows because the cows are located after all of this heavy taxation. And again, this goes down to that initial breakdown of the board. Sometimes the cows are in seat number 1. Sometimes the cows are later, but the cows just being kind of right after all that taxing, it makes it pretty hard
You guys
for somebody to go down the cow route, and that's why we've seen nobody go that way.
would have paid off my mistake. I spent 40. Needed to spend 2, and then I can buy this guy. Right, and I need to buy a 5 for the way that my jump moves.
Mark saying that he really miscalculated there,
Oh, sure.
needing to buy that 5th worker, that 5th builder.
I do appreciate you trying to make it up for it in style, but it doesn't quite work that way.
That's an interesting stopping point.
I'm going to draw 1, discard 1.
Is stopping on the
That's why I put
auxiliary
that
action.
Yeah, he has to because he only has that 4 movement. So he wants to make it to Kansas City next, and he must do so by moving 4. And if he stopped at the cow action, for example, he wouldn't have the ability to get to Kansas City. Right now for Nick, it's all about pushing that tempo and getting to Kansas City as quickly as possible every time, capitalizing on those
How do we
certificates.
score points?
This might be the start of a really exciting comeback from Nick, building to this pathway this whole time.
Yeah, so he's looking to go around the board. Unless somebody else builds a building to block his path around, he's going to be pressing around the board, boom, in 2 turns.
Go here.
Almost
And they
every-
currently can't.
1, 2.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see Nick drop his 3B building in the similar place to
Sell a
Mark's
pair of
Yes,
non-jerseys.
that's the
in
only
order
play
to
to slow him
facilitate this
down.
exact thing. Yeah.
Not jerseys. Discard file. Coffer. Spend 7. Take this hazard. Drop it.
I get the button.
Really, the only person who's really going to have a good play at making that happen
It
is
cost me
Randy.
$5. Taxes, hazards.
I don't know if he's going to stop there or not, but
$4.
I wonder if he's considering that right now on his next trip around the board, that he's got to place the block in the board.
Discard a 1.
Yeah, only Randy will have that ability to block. The raw game a little bit more raucous than this one, but this has been a very exciting game to watch so far. How cutthroat and tight this game board has produced.
I go in. I put this out just after the nick of time. Attacks Mark.
Again, Mark running around the side of those hazards
You ever have one of those games?
for. It doesn't seem like it's enough payoff. He's getting money, but he's spending money.
6, 7, 8.
I don't think that's the cow payoff he was looking for here. That is.
Oh no, yeah, that's not.
This is.
Well, no, but Randy still has the state. He still has 3 permanent.
Actually, kind of.
Yeah,
So that's
but
what. That's
I
how he
really
gets to
feel
8.
like if he had gotten that extra cow in his hand with that one disc that he placed out, if he had placed the disc to get himself an extra cow, he might be just
knock on the top of the deck
easily
and hand me the top card.
pressing up 2 more spots past this.
Yeah, that's a tough break for Randy. You'd
Yeah,
expect
he's
him to.
unlocking
We're
another
not there, but
white disc
we're not
here, I
gonna
believe,
get
and
there.
not.
You could have done
If he had been up 2 more spots, he'd be on.
It's at least
another brown
possible.
disc.
It
He
looks
could
viable.
be
It
up
feels
to
a
a
lot
6
better than
hand
something
size
Yes,
at
that
this
was the
point, going
initial
around the
burst of,
side of
I
the
already have
table.
my green guy allocated.
Well,
wonder
I
if
think
he's,
Randy
missed
Randy
what else
already
can we
has
do on
Randy already has the 10 and the 12 disc down. You can't see it because they're covered by everyone else.
Oh, does he?
But
Okay.
he's already claimed Chicago and the number 12.
So it's probably not. So that's probably not that big of a disadvantage for him.
Yeah.
He only
But-
really getting to 14 or 18 is the big play for him. He needs to get to 18.
Yeah, I think he needed to get to 14 on this pass around. We're not going to have that many turns left, or that many trips through Kansas City left, and not being able to get to that 14, especially with having that really huge permanent 3 bonus. He could only get max 11.
No worries. No worries
If
whatsoever.
one of those cows was just a 3, he would have been able to hit that 14, and I think that's going to be a real setback for Randy.
It is. He's going to have to rely on his rails, strength of his rails here, I guess.
1, 2, 3.
And try to claim those additional stations as he moves forward. And we see Nick be able to just get in. Now we'll see what his cards yield him. Adding to more desert, making sure that pathway is difficult, pressing the end of the game. We have 4 trips into Kansas City, potentially, before the game is over.
6 and 6.
Could be 5 if someone uses that bandit that's currently on number
4, 5,
3.
7. So I'll just take $5.
And we see the income penalty that is hitting Nick for not being up at all on the track, but he is able to unlock Chicago, which is huge for him.
Clean these up. Go home.
And he chooses the victory points bonus in his movement for less movement than the +2.
He's
And
certain
that's
the game is
huge.
ending soon.
That's huge as well, getting those victory points and also making sure that he is not blocked out. He can now make his run unimpeded very consistently.
Yes, now the blocking of playing a tile has to be a concerted effort, which no one can really do here. So he's just gonna run around the board in 2 turns.
That's exactly it. He can run in 2 turns, or he can take an additional turn to build a building. But if he wants to push this tempo and get into Kansas City again, depending on his hand, he can do that.
Yeah, I think we're looking at maybe 5, 6 turns for each player at tops.
We see Jeff pushing the tempo of the game, not putting additional bandits out. Almost all the bandit spots are filled. Nobody taking the time to clear the bandits because they know the end of the game is imminent.
Take a certificate mover
Unless you
guy,
really need that cash, but
go to Bloomingdale's and knock it myself.
using up an action.
I have a lot. I've got
You
2
watch those New Yorks there?
I've got two hazards, a green, an orange, and a spare thing. There should be in theory, a lot of live hits
It's a
here.
couple hits.
Yes, of course.
There you go. You took my card.
So you take your
You're not taking
$6.
money, you need-
Take your
Sorry, I need to take
$6.
$6 and I'll be at 10.
Yep.
You're at 10.
That's right.
Let me move here.
Mark deciding to take that
$8.
money. Mark needing that income boost.
Like that one, I could have. The one he took would have been good.
Mark gathering a bunch of income, hoping that he can capitalize on that with some buildings. And that's a pretty big draw into number 3. There are 2 bandits there, which means that that will extend the game by 1 additional Kansas City trip, and that might be huge for everyone who wants the game to go longer. So for Nick, because I think Randy's in the lead right now, and I think Nick needs those extra turns to just push the tempo and get his discs on.
I put out this disc there.
Randy claiming that station tile far up along the track. You can feel the players playing quickly now because they see the end game is in sight, and they've kind of mapped out their turns.
Spend 5.
And we see Nick buying a hazard tile, and then he will also move to get that building, so he won't be going around in 2 turns this time.
No, he will. He is going to go around 2 turns because he gets a leapfrog here to max out his thing. Then he'll get a move 5 and get around to a key position.
But that's only a 2-space move, so he'll end on the building.
Oh, right, you're right. So you're right. That's
Yeah.
right. He has a 2-space move. He will end up on another. So we're going to get 1 more building out on this cycle around to make.
He'll get 1 more building out and capitalize on his builders.
Upgrade my 1.
There's a 10-pointer. Boy, oh boy. Every play is just big play after big play for Nick.
And especially not getting any money, having $0, using his money effectively so that he doesn't have to pay the tax as he moves through. This is exciting. This feels like a huge comeback from Nick out of left field. Well, it shouldn't be totally out of left field because we saw his builder play that he's been working towards the whole game, when he had to pivot early on when he wanted to go engineers. And especially 10A being drawn allows that to happen. But not needing to follow the pack and unlocking those additional movement spaces, and instead knowing that he had access to that building thanks to Patrick. The Patrick comeback. Nick's Great Western Guru, as he will henceforth be known. The 5th player in this game.
That's right.
His presence looming over the other players. The other players starting to sweat.
Because they don't know
Fan favorite
Patrick.
I think Patrick even took Mark's title. It might be fan favorite Patrick now.
3, 4, 5, 6 to the bank. So
Wow.
6 gets paid. I'll take 1.
That's
off
a
the
tough
board.
play by Jeff, but he doesn't need to
So
stop
Pay 1.
at.
Move my train back 1. And lower my.
Yep, just trying to eke out the points as best as he can, but that's a tough play.
Make it $2.
Yep.
We see we see Mark capitalizing on his building placement,
I've been exuding.
having the hand that he wants, so he's able to take additional income.
We'll put this one out. And I will put out this one. I have 10 plus 2 is 12. Which was this one from Toledo.
A big play by Mark, a necessary one.
It's 5. My total is 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess this was the turn, but I had not enough money. I have $33.
Now we're playing some grip trap.
Mark getting a huge influx of cash from taking that extra turn to take a bandit,
12, he paid 7, so he netted 5.
likely for one of his objective cards as well. But I fear that slowdown is going to negatively affect him.
Oh, thank you. I like more money.
We've got 3 trips to Kansas City left.
I will, in fact, pay $5
Possibly 4 if a bandit is played in number 3, and then a new bandit comes up, and then that bandit is also played. And somebody creates the space for that bandit to be played. So likely 3 trips to Kansas City will be all that remain.
I will pay 6, putting in 10.
Randy certainly run his trains well.
That's what you got to do with those engineers. You got to try to claim those big point stations and just scoop up the points where you can.
And
Him and Nick, seemingly, he's got one station, one delivery ahead of Nick.
I don't see many people go 1-1-1 in this.
I don't think I've ever done it before. I have options.
You do have options.
One of those options I probably wasn't supposed to give myself, but mostly I just need discs to populate space that don't charge me $5.
I can believe you won't ever use any.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
My understanding, are you allowed to use a white disc to fill a black space? I thought that was
Yeah,
only
yeah,
once they're full.
These are white or
That's why they're
white or
white or
black.
Oh, they're white or black.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So he really just does not want to put down. He doesn't care about the hand size at all. Interesting.
Nobody cares about the hand size.
You guys just...
It's a fool's game at this point when you don't have any good cows in your hand. When you're only working with your one blue cow and your starting deck,
You're welcome.
as most of these players are, playing that certificate game instead.
That's the second time this thing has been a single auxiliary action for people.
Nick ready to make his run once
It's
again.
not like you're doing 4 squares. Oh, you do have 4 squares. It's better than that.
You bought that? Look at
I
that.
bought that.
Or you bought that? Thank you.
And you were trying to charge me $5 extra for my white disc. Try to do you a favor like that. See if I take your hazard out.
You will.
Yeah,
More
I think
points.
he was looking for points.
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That opens new doors for me.
They're just not able to spin around the board as quickly as Nick can here.
Even though everyone else can move 7 spaces,
Nick just can fly around the board.
Sure, why not?
Nick can essentially move 10 if he wants in his first move.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's do it.
I get $1.
Mark happily getting $1.
I don't know how I
The
can
rich
begin.
get richer.
I know.
We'll take a green guy for 8. Why not?
Jeff needing those bandits for his objectives.
8 minus 2.
You get a double cog.
Double cog. So my hand is decent already. Moving my train does nothing. However, paying 1 to move my train backwards gets me 3 big ones. So I will do that. That will complete my turn with 9. And my train.
Yeah, I felt like Jeff had a really strong start, but just the lack of workers and the lack of being able to specialize at this point in the game is really hindering him.
So I'm gonna get.
We'll see what Mark does with all of his cash. Potentially pushing, getting those 2 builders is what he has his sights set on,
8.
which will then allow him to purchase another building.
And get those endgame scoring points.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I guess I can do that.
That has to be the path that he's looking towards. 4 points for each, and that's not insignificant.
The game's going to end on this round. So I'm actually not going to deliver. I'm supposed to do that instead.
That is rough.
Mark, seeing the future that there will be 3 deliveries to Kansas City, and he will not be one of those 3 deliveries.
18. So that's going to cost me 6. And
Yeah, so he has
8.
this
14.
turn and one more turn after this.
14.
Everybody else is on their two. Somebody's got one.
14.
It looks like Jeff only is going to have one more turn. Jeff's going to, yeah, unless he really wanted to slow play, but I don't see a reason for that.
10 available to pay taxes.
Yeah, it will be Jeff who triggers the end of the game, giving everyone else that additional move,
7.
which will allow Nick to purchase another building.
And the tax is going to go.
Randy will probably purchase something small. I mean, that's kind of what you have to. Oh no, Randy will move his engineer
Randy's going to
further
want
up.
to get in, right? He wants
Yeah.
to get in here so he can get in one last time, and so that he can get an extra turn after that.
Only saving $1.
Yeah, no, but in his last turn will be moving the engineer and claiming another station.
Right.
I don't know this one. I owe 4. I do not have a green.
I feel like you can see Nick adding up the points, trying to see what building is optimal for him to get,
This one.
trying to see what he can eke out.
Cost me 8.
Will it be enough to catch and surpass Randy?
I use no cards.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I think it's really just Randy and Nick here.
Yeah.
There's no tax
No
anymore.
longer.
No longer $1.
No longer.
Mark having upgraded his building, there's no more tax on that. That's why you saw Randy not pay anything. Randy does choose to put a bandit down, though,
Oh, man.
instead of the engineer.
I guess he's hope. See, there's this hope here that it could be one more delay of a round, and then you can get one more turn if someone wants to cooperate with him. But I just don't see Nick wanting to do that.
I also see that gives Nick maybe the best potential of reaching Kansas City again. Randy hitting that 14 point, though, which is clutch.
Got all my things, yes.
No one being able to make it to New York because of the lack.
And it does look like the option is there.
Already passed the thing.
No, it's a cowboy.
Oh, it's Cowboy.
There will
right,
be
it is
there will be
Cowboy.
2 people. There's one last chance for a bandit to be drawn. Nick heads into Kansas City. Oh, and he must put a bandit out, which then would remove the option.
Big bucks.
Well, yeah, only if it's a terrain tile.
No, but even if a bandit is drawn into number 3,
I think you could draw a terrain obstacle in number 3, so I think that's still a possibility, but it's just one less thing to be likely. to happen. But I don't think.
But I'm gonna get that 2 points for,
Well, I do think that Jeff would be
No one else gets those
not wanting to end it if he
points.
can.
14.
take that to the bank.
I'll spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
and that's an interesting thing
Six.
that Jeff is
Yes.
pointing out. Jeff will be finishing it, but he'll get an extra 2 points for doing that. This could also have factored into a calculation. Which is your better extra move? Was it something in the back half of the board, or was it something in the front half of the board?
7 total, right?
You have 7.
Randy, for example,
7. Yeah, sorry.
is there a spot where he could have used his engineers to move the trains
I get the coup de
before
grace
cashing out?
myself out of misery.
There you
You're
go.
in charge of your own life.
I know.
So that is this is
right.
going to end here.
This is it. This will be Jeff's last move.
That,
The-
so This doesn't get put into play.
The bandit cannot be placed because there is no spot for it. Jeff triggers the end of the game. Every other competitor gets one last move, and then we will enter into the final scoring.
No.
No.
It goes off the board.
Oh, okay.
It goes off the board.
Alright. For
Delivery.
it's actually not bad. 9. So I'm gonna go to St. Louis.
9, but
Produce
Jeff is
9.
unable. He's already filled up enough spots.
I'm not gonna use my certificates because I get points for them. So I will put a chip on St. Louis. And that's all she wrote for me.
St. Louis, not a place that you
I'm at,
necessarily
18.
want to
You are
be
obliged to take an
at this
exchange token.
stage of the game.
Right.
Wow.
Count it.
I know, right?
Hey, in the rails to the north, you can have the bonus
Here, this
for
is
that.
$5.
One of the station masters.
Yep. So he's going to go double engineer here.
Yeah,
I
we
turn
see
in a white. I get 2.
Mark getting this double engineer play.
Oh,
I spend $10 for these 2.
A solid last move.
Huh?
You trigger it, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
you can trigger.
I triggered the end of the game.
I now get a buy for 6.
I just feel like Mark's
Alright, so if I buy with
blue
this,
building up there.
it gets me 8
I keep going back to it.
If I put this 6 over that 5, that's also 8 points. I do not have a 3 out, right? This is a 2, a 2. Alright, so it's one of these lovely 6s. Let's see here. You guys are all down there. Does any of these 6s? Nope. None of these 6s.
I don't have to play that on Sunday.
Is it-
Nick having unlocked 5 movement, it doesn't deter him,
Yeah. Oh, it cost me $6.
but a big point play for Mark.
This money goes away.
Moving to Randy's
No.
last turn.
That was a good last turn.
That was a good last turn, Mark.
It cost me 3 points.
I placed it the only place I figured could cost something.
Yeah, no, it cost me. Well, we'll see what the objective on top is, but currently it's cost me 3 points.
Pass the card.
That's the
Just
card.
for kicks.
Pass the card. Ooh, I
Randy's
get-
saying
I
that
get
that
these.
placement costs him points.
Yep. $5.
Randy claiming another station down the road.
Cost your action down to 8 points. I don't feel so bad.
I mean, I'm supposed to also get a hazard.
Just not feeling bad.
So close.
Good try.
It's a good try. And pass.
And Nick's probably going to get one more building down here.
I literally forgot to use my exchange token.
Oh.
Which was correct until the very last delivery. And then I looked at the top card and it was actually worth 3 tiebreaker dollars. Which, yeah.
I win tiebreakers. That's the way it works.
Money
I'm a
needs
4
fourth
seed.
player.
No, I thought it was money first.
It's not in this turn.
Oh, it's not money
Straight
first.
up.
It's
Fourth-
just straight up
fourth
turnover.
turn.
Oh, so the $3 doesn't matter, but delivering to New York instead of Pittsburgh was 1 point. I feel slightly better, but yeah, I have New York versus Pittsburgh is a relevant point.
Randy talking about how he forgot to use his exchange token, that valuable token.
Watch out.
You know what? If you're the one who beats me in tiebreakers, I'm okay. I'm going to claim at least partial credit for you winning this.
More than that.
Did
More
you
than
guys
that,
practice
Randy.
a lot?
Yeah.
Leading up?
I don't think he's ever played this game without me.
We see Nick
Is that true?
going
It's
for
not
that
surprising.
building
Green.
Well, the 2 heats.
$2.
as the last turn of the
before
game.
that. There were some
5, 6,
some
7,
pickup
8.
games. That,
Oh, there was some. I wasn't in all these.
Randy and Mark chatting. Their job is done.
Turn this guy.
Now it just comes down to the final score.
Yeah, I'm gonna get stuff behind my train.
Playing that
It's a
9B
game.
as his final building, which is a great building if you've invested in trains, but certainly doesn't have any bearing as the last move of the game
As soon
other
as I
than
passed
points.
The card, I noticed it. It was too late. I passed the card. 2 points.
all right. Scoring.
Hang on, just getting the pass.
I was getting that. Okay.
game, everyone.
Yeah, good game.
I mean, obviously, coming up one short of ringing the bell is also like my next
I got a
action is
10.
ring the bell.
Yeah.
My next action is absurd, right? It's
So
14
Randy
points
was
and a
first.
hazard. It's like 17 points minus money.
Wow.
I'm glad we ended with.
Fuck. I don't know where I was supposed to get that action back then.
Well, probably delivering to Kansas City one more time.
All right. Here we go. You ready?
No?
I'm going to ask you a series of interesting questions.
Okay.
Randy, how many points of money do you have? 3. 3 points. Nick?
Of course, you're getting 1 point for every 5 coins that you have remaining.
1.
Now we're going to look, starting with Randy each time, we're going to look at the building points on the board. So building points for the red player.
4.
Yep. Building points for the white player.
18, 31, 35.
35.
35 points.
Similar to that, but divided by 5, so we'll go with 7. But I had fun. That matters.
Jeff's saying he had fun,
Is there a
which
category
is
for that?
all that matters.
The last column.
All right, so this is 11.
I'm taking it back. I'm giving it to Jeff. Fan favorite Jeff.
21,
Having a good
29.
time.
Did I do that right?
Yes, I got you. All right, now we're again starting with Randy. We're going to look at the. Let's get those two things confused. We're going to look at the delivery route here. So that's going to be the red player. I see 6.
Positive 8. 6 is
Oh, I didn't see
negative,
that
6 cancels, so positive 8.
Positive 8 and 8. Yep. How about the white player?
Also
thing.
positive 8.
Nick and Randy tie on deliveries.
Yellow?
Yellow is 0.
Nick's managed to claw back with those
Yellow
last
blue.
few moves.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now we're going to look at the stations. So starting with red. 8, 15, 24, 26.
26.
26 stations,
That's
but
pretty
Nick
close
having
to the building
35
level
in
that,
buildings.
No.
Nick has. It's going to be very close here. I think the certificates here. I don't remember what two certificates he has, and he does have points for workers here. So
I just got choked out over there. I couldn't do anything.
What are we counting?
it's going to be
Oh,
just a
6.
few points difference.
It's going to be close to the finish. Randy's saying, I hope those 2 points that delivering to New York would have gotten him don't bite him in the butt.
Positive.
And
It's positive.
3.
it might be close enough that they do.
5.
So let you guys
The
play.
toll, it's so easy to forget these little things
6.
using that exchange token.
That's the lowest count.
Everybody again.
It's not a cow game.
They just counted up the scores for
Well, all the
cows.
9 and
And
7 too. It's like all the cheap cows are
Objective
gone.
cards.
3.
Well, no cheap class split up.
No, this is the very
I've
end.
completed this one.
Yep.
I'm not committing to those.
Here it is.
3.
Started.
5.
only 5 in objectives for Jeff.
Yeah.
3, again a tie between Randy and Nick. This is a nail biter.
Well, it's
There's systematic failure over here. 5 points.
Got some hazard tiles to score here.
Station master. It's the end of the game, guys. Starting with Randy.
Oh, what
I
a.
only get 6 points.
how do you get 6?
He has 4 train
How do I only
Oh,
get
those. I thought we
That
were.
would have been another 3
I'm
points.
aware.
on that.
It's actually a 20-point action. My next
Yes.
action. It's
I
20.
think- isn't that
Everybody feeling very
I
good.
know I didn't get this.
But
So,
it's your starter, so you can commit to it for free.
so it's committed.
Yes.
Oh, okay, so 3.
Yep.
This one's 4, so that's 7. This one's 3, so that's 10. Right?
Yep.
Dominated that category.
Good job.
Thank you.
End of game.
Gotta win that.
Hey.
We see Jeff and
I
Mark
thought the
sitting.
train station was gonna do more, but I
Feels like they know they're out of it. Randy and Nick standing in anticipation.
Next, we're looking at the head bonus. Yeah, 4 points for Randy.
None for me.
0, right?
I didn't have it.
2 zeros.
8.
8.
Randy making a comeback though.
And did everyone get their 3 point? Just
Yep.
off?
Everyone.
Yep.
Yes.
Another dominating category for Big Jeff at the end with 2 points.
Jeff is the only person to score.
Thank you. Could we?
That category.
Let's make sure that gets broadcast tomorrow morning.
Just count the number of categories that you want.
Let's see it on the stream.
In stroke play, I did quite well.
Randy has 7, 15,
Yep.
41,
Yes.
45, 48, 51, 57, 61, 64.
There you go.
It's not good enough.
It's a low score.
Nick has
My next action is 20
43,
points.
54, 59, 62, 65.
65.
Nick
One
has
more point.
65.
Oh my god, I actually punted it with the exchange token.
Jeff has
I
10,
got 2 points.
14,
It's $3, which is a point
23, 28,
and a point.
38.
Randy realizing right now,
Oh, that wasn't
That's
actually.
not-
Randy
that's
had
not
the
30.
win.
That's not
He
that
just
far
needed
back.
to cash in his exchange token
Mark has
for
30,
the better cows.
34, 40, 43, 51, 54.
54 for Mark.
That's a great fun.
Yeah.
It's not enough.
Wow. Holy
Nick
smokes.
wins Great Western Trail. You see the disappointment on Randy's face. He's beating himself up about it. He knew he had it in his hand, but he didn't play that exchange token. The marathon of the day.
Literally split second after I let go of that card, I realized. And then it turns out that matters.
I need everybody to initial the score.
Oh, just devastating for Randy. But hugely satisfying for Nick. Our ring winner for Great Western Trail. What a finish.
Wow.
It
One
comes
point.
down to the wire. It comes down to 1 point. It comes down to one turn. If Randy had had that one extra turn, he was able to, would have been blown away the competition. Really low scores with no one getting to New York and having a low cow game. But that's just how this game broke down. You can have these fluctuations of scores. I was going to ask you what you thought the final scores would be, and I certainly wouldn't have expected them to be so low, but it makes sense due to the heavy taxation game that was happening on the board as well.
Indeed, I would not have predicted that as well. But these were 4 really, really good players. Even though there was like one small little technical play that may have swung the game and the player may have missed that, it just his level of play throughout the rest of the game to even be in that position was amazing.
100%. Yeah, I think we thought that Randy was dominating the entire game, and he certainly was, as evidenced by what his engine was ramping up to. And Nick just managing that really tight comeback to pull out the win was very exciting to watch. I felt my energy pick up throughout that last 30 minutes for sure as I saw him clawing his way, and if it would be enough, and it is, Nick Henning becoming our winner of Great Western Trail.
Indeed, a big ring win for him, and I'm sure that Patrick is going to get one more shout out for helping him to find that winning strategy.
Yeah, I think Nick owes Patrick at least half of his ring. Maybe he'll bring him as a guest to his next appearance in the World Series of Board Gaming in 2023.
Seems good. That's definitely I think what needs to happen there for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, well, what a great final. What great competitive play from everybody at the table. It was really just exciting to watch. Brian, do you have anything else to add?
No, it was great. I've enjoyed every one of these, and I'm looking forward to the next one just as much.
Absolutely. And if you haven't checked out the rest of the ring finals or the semifinals or the final, make sure you check those out right here on our YouTube channel as well. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Chris George.
And I'm Brian Muller.
And we will see you in the next video and maybe in Las Vegas 2023.